Here we go. Any day now? Okay. Maybe we can have engineering work on sound bites there, Mr. Kerry Smith. And good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith, and
Kerry Smith.
Giving you all the late-breaking news, the details, last week, wrapping it all up, making sense of it all, finding those tidbits, those nuggets, golden nuggets of information that happened on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, letting you know what that's all about, because the media is never going to tell you about those things. And bear with us. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty on the soundbite side, but we have a special guest today. He's all over Facebook. I originally saw him on Facebook and started to follow his videos, all the things that he posts, all the information he put out. Steve Spell, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
All right, excellent. Steve Spell, you're down there in Louisiana, and we reported on the flood. I think we're going into week 3 now, so we reported on it 2 shows ago. And from then till now, it's pin drops, but I'm starting to see that it's more devastating down there than Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah, it was a much more significant rain event than Hurricane Katrina. We had about 3 gallons of water that fell down on us in a 3-day span.
Wow.
So you can figure out how much 3 trillion gallons is and extrapolate from that it was a wreck.
3 trillion. This is Kerry Smith. I'm on with Brian, too. How you doing?
Hey, Kerry. I'm pretty good. Considering the circumstances that I'm in, I'm fairly good.
So I started watching some of your videos, and I noticed that these images were not shown by the mainstream media whatsoever, and I was shocked. I mean, I didn't see these images anywhere. I mean, did you notice that there was a pretty poor job of covering this event?
Well, my fans were telling me via text messages and on my Facebook assets and YouTube assets that I didn't have access to a television because I was chest deep of water throughout the whole thing.
Right.
So I couldn't watch it, but I had fans telling me when I did get a signal, I would use my cell phone. And I had my fans telling me that, look, we're not seeing the pictures that you're uploading. We're just not seeing it. So I agree with you. I was hearing that.
Well, yeah, and you wouldn't see it because of your lack of ability to watch TV in your circumstance. But you certainly, I guess what you would really notice is the fact that there's nobody there reporting, nobody from the media, I assume, was on the ground with any cameras or interviewing anybody or anything.
No, sir. It was just I was down here filming and making rescues, and no, sir. The local media. I've never seen the local media, but they were broadcasting from different portions of Baton Rouge with helicopters and stuff. But as far as the national media, I've never seen anybody. And I didn't even see the local media where I'm at.
I highly recommend all listeners go watch your videos. Your channel. What's it called on YouTube?
Steve Spell 2.
Steve Spell 2, that's the number 2. And what he shows in his videos, which I think is just shocking, is kind of a first-person point of view of you driving down the street. And it looks like somebody used a bobcat or some sort of an excavator to pile up like the insides of houses right on the sides of the street, presumably to be picked up eventually by some sort of a... Is that what that's for it to be picked up and taken to the dump?
Yes, sir. That the bottom 5 feet of everyone's home has been cut and demoed.
Wow.
And all of their carpet, their sheetrock, their furniture, everything that you could possibly imagine in your house is ruined.
And that's what it looked like, too. These piles of scrap and garbage and I guess it would be furniture and probably clothes, like all the contents of the insides of the house were piled up, and I guess it would be like 6-foot-high piles in a lot of cases. And not just like one pile. It looked like they made a row out of it all the way across the front of the house, and it's just amazing. And this is like every house.
Yeah, I mean, if you drive through Baton Rouge and Benham Springs and Livingston Parish, where I live, it looks like a war zone.
Yeah,
definitely. You wouldn't recognize it.
Yeah, and you know what? Until I saw your videos, I really hadn't seen any of that. And even like Sean Hannity, I think he went down there for the week to broadcast from there. And what he would do is, I guess he would go on location and interview people. But it was just a radio show that I was listening to him on. And all he could do was describe it and just kind of tell everybody how devastating it is and how much worse it is than anything. But you can't see it. You just have to take his word for him. But when you see your video, it's amazing.
Yeah, if you're actually down here, and especially if I've been living here all my life, so it's an emotional train wreck to see your area devastated like that.
Yeah, I guess it sounds like people are being pretty strong down there as far as the fact that they lost everything, and from what I've heard, people are just kind of like, you know what, we're going to go to work and clean it up, and I think that that's a really awesome attitude to have. At least that's what I've heard so far. I hope that that's a widespread attitude, actually.
Now I know that that you've been all in for Trump since the beginning. Am I right, Steve?
Yes, I was for Donald Trump when Donald Trump wasn't even running yet.
And something kind of funny is that when I was trying to figure out Trump, Cruz, where are we going with this, even before Iowa, I'm listening to some of the older generation talk about Cruz this, Cruz that, and I stumbled upon you and your website on Facebook, your Facebook page, Steve Spell 2, and I started to see the things that you were posting about Cruz, and I'm like, holy smoke, man, this is like an all-out assault on Cruz. Let me figure out what's going on. And from day one, you knew Cruz was lying.
I knew he was. Not only that, I viewed him as the biggest threat to a Donald Trump nomination.
Okay,
and he was. He
was the biggest threat. He was the only legitimate threat. So I tackled him. I made a job out of him on the internet.
Right.
Made a full-time job out of him.
Okay, and I just kind of wanted to bring that up because I thought it was funny, kind of ironic that I saw you in that, and you kind of led me down that road, watching some of the videos that you put out about Trump versus Cruz and about what Cruz was doing, and so that's kind of where I met up with you, if you will. Now, fast forward all the way now to Louisiana, and Trump literally acting as commander-in-chief goes to Louisiana.
Yeah, that was a good move. It was a good move, and let me tell you, it was a good move for several reasons. One is that Louisiana is overwhelmingly for Trump.
Really?
It's not even going to be close here. Louisiana is Trump country.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter where you go in this state. Trump is the man.
It's historically been a red state, right?
It's historically been a red state, and it's in presidential elections, even when Democrats outnumber Republican voters, it still goes Republican in the presidential elections.
Okay.
So even the Democrats in Louisiana vote Republican in a presidential. I'm telling
funny.
you, that's true. I mean, it sounds funny, but it happened when Obama ran against Mitt Romney.
Kentucky does that same thing. There's a lot of Democrats that are, when you talk to them, you would never think that they were anything other than a right conservative Republican, and yet they're just registered Democrats for whatever reason. It's a Kentucky thing, and I'm kind of wondering now that you're describing almost the same thing in Louisiana, if this is more of just a southeastern United States thing. If that's
Well, when Mitt Romney ran against Barack Obama in 2012, more Democrats voted in Louisiana than did Republicans. But Mitt Romney carried the state by 17.2 points.
Yeah, that's a landslide.
So, it was a landslide, and Trump is a much candidate, and Hillary Clinton is a much weaker candidate than Obama was. So Trump is stronger than Romney, and Hillary Clinton is weaker than Obama was. So I'm expecting a blowout in this state. So this is Trump country, and we appreciated Trump coming here. I mean, he could have came without bringing anything, and he would have lifted our spirits and boosted our morale in a devastating environment, the devastating people. He gave us hope, and so a lot of times that's all we need. If you're strong, you just need hope, and that's what he gave us by coming here.
And you know what I saw, which was really, really sad, is that days after Trump had already left, I found out through Carrie that he was the one that brought 18-wheelers down. And
or at least one.
At least one.
Somebody said 70,000 pounds worth of supplies and aid and all that kind of stuff. That's what was reported anyway.
Well, let me tell you, I administrate my Facebook page, Donald Trump Media Attraction. So I have a huge following there. It's growing every day. So I got 70,000 followers there, and I picked up 5,000 last week, and so that's growing. So I tend to report on what the media does, and so when Donald Trump came to Louisiana, and it's an interesting thing. I missed him by about 45 minutes at the Grimwell Springs Baptist Church, but I still went to the Grimwell Springs Baptist Church, even though he had just left, and I talked to the folks there, and at the Grimwell Springs Baptist Church, and he met with Franklin Graham, which is a very prominent religious leader. Mm-hmm. So he met with Franklin Graham, and he donated $100,000 to the Grimwell Springs Baptist Church.
Wow.
Yeah, Donald Trump did that. So he donated $100,000 to the Grimwell Springs Baptist Church. Samaritan's Purse was there. I don't know if you've ever heard of Samaritan's Purse. That is a huge charitable outreach. They help people. And so he donated money there. He met with Franklin Graham. Then he left and went and met with Leighton Ricks, which is the parish president of Livingston Parish. And he had a strict ban on the media. So a lot of people don't know what he did. But I know because I made a job out of finding out.
Well, now that you're saying this, this is the first I've heard of that. That's awesome. And the thing about a monetary donation like that is when you bring down 70,000 pounds worth of stuff in an 18-wheeler, there's a visual effect to that. So there's a lot of it's kind of a symbolic gesture, even though there is actual tangible aid there. But when you donate $100,000 to an organization whose mission it is to help these people who are ravaged by the flood, even after he leaves for weeks and weeks and weeks, his charitable donation will be felt by the people of that area. So I think that's something that they're going to remember.
And the Red Cross is here. The Red Cross is here now, passing out toys of all things. And if you paid attention, toys is one of the things that the media tried to ridicule Trump for bringing. But the Red Cross is here giving out toys now, and that's
like
somehow
you know what that is? That's like the media. They're all in for Hillary, so they're going to just find any action, any word that comes out of his mouth, and they're going to try to spin it in a way that makes it look either dumb or ridiculous or bad move. And so that's what they're. Yeah, I could totally see that. That is textbook liberal media 101 there, and I'm glad to hear that's actually probably standard operating procedure. You got kids that are really upset about what happened, and he's comforting them in the way that they want to be comforted, which is with some toys. I have kids. I know how it works.
Well, and when you say toys, instantly, if I've got 3 children under 8, and if I didn't have those kids, I would be like, what?
Right.
That's nonsense, but in all reality, that will keep them distracted,
right,
and keep them entertained, so you can get something done.
Well, and I can tell you just from the human tragedy of this, if you're driving down the streets in Baton Rouge and Denham Springs and Livingston Parish, and you see all of these children's toys just in the middle of on the side of the roads, they're just infested with everything's vile imaginable. Everything is ruined. Even the toys.
Wow.
The flood storm does not spare the toys. It does not spare the toys. And so everything is destroyed. So big kids need toys.
Right, so that ends up being a really good thing to donate. And that's why the Red Cross is doing it, too. That's interesting.
The Red Cross was doing it yesterday. A whole bunch of toys, little trucks, just all kind of toys today, sponsored by the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office right up the road, handing out toys. So,
wow.
Yes.
So I don't know if Brian has the audio keyed up or anything like that. If he doesn't, it's not that big of a deal. But I feel like there was a moment down there when he arrived that maybe the thing 10, 15, 20 years from now, people are going to look back to and say that was the moment where it was all over for Hillary, and that was what propelled Donald Trump to become the president of the United States, was when he arrived and somebody screamed out, "We knew you would come!" And it was just one of those things that the whole nation listen to that.
Well, it was all over for Hillary when she decided to run.
Well,
it was all over.
Of course.
And I've got
Now it was all over with for her. I mean, she's just too polarizing, too divisive, and too dishonest, and just not trustworthy at all. At the end of the day, she's not going to be able to win hearts and minds. And if you can't win hearts and minds, you win an election. Period.
So there's a lot of people that are Trump criticizers, and a lot of times we don't care about them. But sometimes I feel like they've just been propagandized by the liars in the media and all that kind of stuff. So what do you say to people who may be able to be swayed, but they tell you, well, Donald Trump's a liar?
It's an interesting premise, because I don't know anybody here that supports Hillary. So I haven't had the opportunity to talk to anybody that's not for Trump.
I've actually run into some people who they don't like Hillary as much as anybody else down there, but they'll say, I don't know, is it the lesser of two evils? I feel like there's a lot of people that have this false idea, and obviously getting it from the media and getting it from people that are on Twitter and all that Trump lies too, just as much as Hillary, which of course I think is completely false. But that's one of those kind of things where you could tell him all day about the truths that he does say, but it's really hard to, prove a negative or whatever. How do you prove the allegation is false, that he has lied, and you can't have all of the sound bites that he's ever said in his entire life and say, see, look, no lies. So,
well, what are the consequences of the lies? Something I would
there you
point
go.
out.
Yeah, that's definitely something to think about too.
What were the consequences of the lies that Hillary Clinton told, as opposed to the lies that you alleged were trumpet?
Right.
People died.
Right. Well, even with Libya, and I've got all kinds of sound clips and loaded show prep today that does nothing but expose Hillary for as evil, lying, diabolical. I mean, just probably the worst person I've ever run across in politics. And she, they're talking about 300,000 dead in Libya, just from the civil war that she caused. You got the 4 Americans, but Ambassador Christopher Stevens, raped and murdered in the streets of Benghazi. I mean, that was all a lie. And all the emails that are coming out saying that she knew about it, and she was emailing her daughter about it. And some of the new damning emails that are coming out from Julian Assange is saying that she was well aware that this was going on, and that we got F-16s spinning up, ready to run, ready to fly.
Yeah, for the Benghazi.
Just give us the green light. And
they were given the stand-down order.
Right.
Right, and people, that's the consequences of her actions. People died, and not just the people in Benghazi, not just the ambassador. I mean, there's no telling just how many people have the dire consequences of Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And her life. So, she used. You stop and think about just what she did, deleting those emails. If you even think that you're going to be investigated by the FBI, and you encumber evidence like that or destroy anything, I mean, that's a felony. And so she was able to do that to 33,000 emails. Not only did she delete them, she used sophisticated software to scrub them to where they could never be recovered forensically.
Yeah, and then she tried to play dumb by saying, what do you mean, with a cloth?
I remember that. For her to use a system called BleachBit, on her files after deleting them, there's no reason to do that unless you don't want authorities to find out what was on your computer.
Hey, check this out, Steve. Check this, and folks, you're listening to Smith Radio, and we have we're honored to have a special guest, Steve Spell 2. I almost called you Steve Smith. That's my brother, Steve Spell 2, and the program that you're talking about, BleachBit. I came across that this week as well. See, Steve's on top of the news.
I missed that.
And late last night, like 3 a.m, I looked it up and I started getting into it, and I was going to download it and use it, but I started reading about it. Oh, no, I don't want it to do that to my system.
Right.
I don't want it to do all the things it was going to do.
Yeah, I mean, she did not want these emails recovered, and there was not yoga exercises on them emails. I mean, let's be real. it would have to be some really strange yoga exercises for her to go to those depths to keep people from seeing her emails related to it.
Right. Trey Gowdy this week said she scrubbed them so well even God couldn't find them.
Oh my goodness! Wow. So I was watching one of your videos where you were just railing on Obama, who was saying, "We're not going to come down here and do a photo op." What happened with that?
Well, that's interesting. I put that video up Thursday morning, and right now it's got over 1 million views on it, almost 40,000 shares.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's wild. That's the single most popular video I've put up since I started doing this in 2011, and I haven't had one get that much traction. Post reach on that video, I reached 3 million people in 2 days with that video. Post reach.
That's amazing.
So it's moving. But what set me off is that the media down here made a big deal out of Barack Obama not coming. The Baton Rouge Advocate did. They did a big write-up, and they excoriated Barack Obama for not paying enough attention to Louisiana. And Rachel Maddow featured that story. Rachel Maddow came out, and the local newspaper in Baton Rouge is upset with Barack Obama. They feel like he should be there. So there was a huge push by the media to get Barack Obama here.
Shocking.
And then when he came here, he said, "Now this is not a photo op." But then the next day in the paper, he's hugging this lady, so an alleged storm victim, and I'm sure she is, but we can't see her face. All we see is the president looking too cool for school in sunglasses. And if you watch the president when it came out, what made me angry was he came out and he's like, "All right, let's get this done. Let's get this done. I don't have all day." Well, it's
right.
The heat index. The heat index was 109. So I can imagine it was a little bit uncomfortable for him. I don't know what the heat index was on the golf course at
Right.
It was pretty hot down here in Louisiana, and you could tell he just didn't want to be there. And then when I saw that photo, it was shameless. And what was so irritating about it is that was what they accused Donald Trump of coming down here for, was a photo op.
Right.
Yeah, the hypocrisy. You could cut the hypocrisy with a knife.
It just really infuriated me that Barack Obama, after it's all over with, decides to come down here and stage a huge photo op. Let me tell you about that photo. That photo was so perfect. It was probably one of many that they called through and selected. So, and you can't just get access to the president like that. So, they handpicked these people. They put them out a photo, and they probably took numerous photos. They selected that one. And then I just thought the whole thing was really, really, really degrading because, number one, I told you, Louisiana is Trump country. We don't like Obama here. We don't like Hillary Clinton here. So we could have really cared less about Barack Obama being here.
Right.
So when the Baton Rouge Advocate put him on the front of the paper like that, hugging that woman's neck, it was shame. It was shameless.
Was there a lot of local outrage about that? Did you hear about it?
Oh yeah, because we didn't want Barack Obama here. The people of Louisiana, you see, and it's nothing personal, but if you support Hillary Clinton, you're not going to be favored here in Louisiana. And that even goes for our governor. I mean, this governor's in a real dicey situation here to where if he doesn't get on the Trump train, he has no chance of getting reelected when he runs again.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense.
So,
governor, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
The governor here in Louisiana has to make a decision. Am I going to get on the Trump train and possibly be able to win again when I run for my second term? Or am I going to abandon the Trump train and go for Hillary Clinton and just be a one-term governor? That's up to him. That's his decision.
You guys got Obama on vacation. Like that, like the whole flood in Louisiana, it was a ill-fated timing.
He was on the golf course.
He was on vacation. He was on a golf course. And my dad is a retired, avid golfer. He's been golfing his entire life. He's really good at it. And he and I kind of put the numbers together. Apparently, Obama has just finished his 300th round of golf since he's been president. And we started to break down the numbers of how my dad, because he's retired. That's all he does is retired. I said, Dad, how much do you play? Down in the villages. Because, you got the cart, the people, that's all you do down there. And he said the numbers worked out to be about 65 holes a month, which he says being retired and this is a sport that he loves more than life itself, he couldn't hit that much.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Barack Obama's stamina on the golf course is legendary, but that's not getting things done.
Right.
You know, let's be real, that doesn't get anything done. And Barack Obama's not retired. He's got a job. He's not taking it seriously.
Right.
And that's why I think I was so outraged at the $400 million he gave to Iran.
Yes.
Now, he gives Iran $400 million right in the middle of hurricane season. He knew or should have known that we were going to be facing disaster here. And so he gives Iran $400 million. Who in the hell said he had to give it to him all in a lump? Even if we owed him that money, isn't a better strategy to sit on their money and draw interest on it?
I mean, we were sitting. Right, we've been sitting on that money. We've been sitting on that money since the 70s, the 1970s, and
another 10 wouldn't hurt. Another 10 years would not hurt.
Right, and now they're saying this week, breaking news came out. The $400 million was apparently the payoff of something we owed them, and then somebody in the administration agreed to $1.3 billion in interest on that $400 million.
So it ends up being just a first payment.
Right. Well, it's all done now.
Oh, it's done now.
Apparently, this week, the $1.3 billion was sent to them in 3 payments of $999,999, and the final number was 1.299967.
Yeah.
It was like almost 1.3 billion. And when the guys up on Capitol Hill questioned the president and the administration, hey, who authorized that money? Where did it come from? And how did it get to them? And the administration's like, we don't know.
Clinton Foundation?
They said they don't know how the $1.3 billion got to Iran.
That's hysterical. I mean, they flew it. They flew the $400 million in cargo plane. So I don't know either if they flew over Iran and dropped it off of helicopters. It was raining money or what. But they had to print all that money.
Right.
You know.
Right, or steal it.
Well, they got the printers on full blast. It wouldn't be that hard to go up to the manufacturers and say, hey, can you put 50% of this off to the side on pallets and wrap it in plastic? And then it's just it's like they got this free money all over the place. And believe me, they're abusing it everywhere they can. It's ridiculous. Like QE1, QE2, QE3, all that stuff. And it all ends up in the stock market anyway. So,
or in the terrorists.
Right.
Yeah, and the terrorists, right.
Oh, yeah. Matt Drudge posted an article today saying the feds to crack a deal with corporations for a bailout in case the stock market tanks.
Well, I just you can't. I mean, the depravity in this administration, and it's going to continue with Hillary Clinton. But I'm excited about the debates coming up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think those debates, it's going to be the big turning point. I was expecting this lead of Hillary somehow. I mean, I am assuming if they keep on coming out with polls where she's pretty much a couple points ahead over and over and over again, I got to take it seriously as much as I don't want to. So I was banking on the hope that the debates are going to swing it, and it's got to. There's a reason why they want to keep her out of the news, away from cameras. There's a reason why they want to make sure that the debates are during Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, all that kind of stuff. And meanwhile, every single time Trump gets in front of a camera, his poll numbers go up.
Yeah, it's going to be. I can tell you right now, Hillary Clinton and Robbie Mooks, they're the worm weasel guy that they got running their administration.
Oh, yeah.
Her campaign. Robbie Mooks and Hillary Clinton, they're trying right now to figure out a way to get her out of those debates altogether. If they can, they're going to.
I can't blame them. I can't blame them.
I'm telling you, it's job one to figure out how they can get her out of those debates. If they can't, then there's going to be some huge distraction. Even if it's in a foreign nation, there'll probably be some huge distraction that'll try to take away from it, because it's just a catastrophe to have more than one person seeing Hillary Clinton on TV.
Right. Well, look all the way back to when the first debate when Mitt Romney went up against Obama. I mean, we were cheering praises like Mitt Romney destroyed Obama in a very intellectual way, and he did a great job. However, they took him to the woodshed, and the second and third debate, he took a tanker.
Right.
But think about it.
The race,
If it went down, what's that?
The race tightened dramatically when Romney won the first debate.
Yes.
Oh
it did.
yeah. So imagine, instead of Mitt Romney, it's Donald Trump. Instead of Obama, it's Hillary Clinton. Yeah, there's no, like, we're talking about two completely different planets.
Two completely different planets, and if she has a seizure on camera, you know the ratings will go.
Wow.
It's good for ratings.
Oh, right, because that'll help the ratings. Oh, wow.
You think they're banking on that?
No, but hey, that's funny that you bring up Mook, because Hillary has not been in front of the camera recently, and they've been putting Mook out.
He's always out there.
To run CNN, to talk about the floods, to talk about Trump being a racist. And this last one, he was on CNN with Mad Cow, and he said, just went on a rant about how Trump has no substance. He's got no vision. He doesn't know where he's going. He hasn't laid out any plans.
What's his plan?
Right, and I'm
It's pretty obvious, but
I'm like, did you miss the conference, brah? I mean,
this is the same Robbie Mook. This is the same Robbie Mook that came out and said that Hillary Clinton ran the most transparent Secretary of State.
wow.
He said that. Hillary Clinton ran the most transparent Secretary of State in all of history.
Yeah, it was transparent, all right. That's she allowed her servers to be exposed to the world,
right? Thanks to WikiLeaks and Grucifer and Grucifer 2.0, they helped to make her the most transparent.
Right, she definitely was. Yeah, I guess that was a pretty accurate statement.
Yeah, Bobby Moose is a joke. He's not credible at all.
We don't watch too much TV anymore because of the mainstream propaganda has just gotten too much. We end up getting a lot of our stuff from Twitter, from Facebook, from the internet in general, that kind of stuff.
Right,
and so I just recently saw Robbie Mook for the first time on some clip. He looks like a quintessential pajama boy.
Oh yeah.
He's the biggest dork known to planet Earth. And he's dweeb. Dweeb. You can bring back that word for him. Dweeb.
Right.
Dweeb. Total dweeb.
Right.
And the things that he says are so nonsensical. It's just infuriating. For him to say that Hillary Clinton was the most transparent Secretary of State, here she is, was under upon potential indictment, under investigation, just the whole 9 yards. There's nothing transparent about that. I mean, this woman used bleach bit to wipe out 33,000 emails.
Right, and apparently this week the FBI says they've discovered 15,000 emails that she did not release to them.
Yeah, and that's going to be released, I think they said September 13th, which it's amazing we got to wait that long, but I'm sure everybody's going to be anticipating that.
When it's ironic that it's 2 days after September 11th.
Well, that is ironic, but so what happened? Did she run out of bleach? I mean, how did that
Oh, okay. Well, let's explain this real quick to our viewers. It's real simple. Every time you send an email, there's a recipient. And it doesn't matter what you do to your computer or even your server, because your recipient also received that same email. So what the FBI has been doing is running around and finding out who all she's had correspondence with and seeing if they could find old emails of hers. And they have actually been successful in this and found 15,000 of them. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, imagine if I'm emailing Brian for 10 years straight, and all of a sudden I don't want anybody to see what I've emailed him. So I destroy my computer and destroy the server that I was using to send him all these emails. Well, they could just go to Brian's computer.
If they know who Brian is.
Right. And
that's what the hundred FBI agents. They had several hundred FBI agents working on this. So that must be what they were doing, is tracking down every potential person that she could have emailed. Mm-hmm. But that's a lot of foreign dictators and leaders. It's got to be hard for the FBI to go and find all the Saudis.
You have to call up Putin to hack them.
Right. And you heard about what Obama did. Obama has sealed all the documents, all the emails that he ever had with her.
Oh, no.
So there will be no Freedom of Information Act retrieving any email whatsoever that Obama received or sent to Hillary.
Yeah, and I'm just glad it's almost over with. Obama's only got a few more months left.
Right.
He said when he left Louisiana, he said, I only got 5 months left anyways.
He said that?
Yeah, did you hear that?
No, I didn't. That's terrible.
Yeah, it's just off the cuff. He's like, they questioned him about Trump coming down. And he made a flippant comment that, I'm out. I'm out in 5 months. I mean, what do you want me to do?
That's almost as bad that's almost as bad as the comment he made where he said that the problem is I'm not a dictator, or America's not a dictatorship, or something like that. So he came down, and I'm sure you know all about all the bad things he said about George Bush when he didn't come down to Katrina for a while, and then when he finally did, it was kind of a flyover looking out the window, and then Obama used that to bash him big time in a big speech in his upcoming candidacy. So, I mean, does everybody remember that stuff down there?
Yeah, well, we remember it. We remember it like it was yesterday here in Louisiana. But, I guess what Obama would have wanted from Trump was what? To find a random person off the street and turn them around sideways and hug them and kiss them in the street for a photo op? I mean,
let me ask you. Yeah, let me ask you about that. When he came down, the reports were that he told his entire camera crew, which I read, that they fly around behind his jet. So you got two jets flying. One has Trump and his entire campaign and everybody that's going with with him, and then a separate plane follows behind with camera crews, equipment, and all that kind of stuff. And apparently, the way I read it was he came down to Louisiana and ordered all of the press that follow him to not come, to stay at home and all that kind of stuff. But then there were some pictures, which of course the media turned around and said, well, Trump said no photo ops, but look, here's pictures. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between a photo op and a random picture being snapped. I mean, there really is. When you look at Barack Obama, the king of photo ops, at Baton Rouge Advocate, the cover of that I made the video about, you can tell that was a well polished. It was over the top photo opportunity. It was shameless. But the photos that were snapped of Donald Trump, Donald Trump had a strict ban on the media, his media. But you can't really control if people are out there taking photos or even there was some videos that surfaced, but that was the local media. Filming it, but it's nothing that Trump did on purpose.
Right.
Where's the shot with him holding the baby in his lap, playing with a toy? You know what I'm saying? Where are the shameless photo opportunities that Barack Obama did when he came down here? You're not going to find them. The photos that do surface are less than stellar. It looks like an ordinary guy helping.
Right. They got pictures of him from the side, from the back, kind of distant. But it was not. There were no real polished photo shoot,
glamour shots.
Yeah,
because Obama's photo op was a staged glamour shot, right?
Oh, you can see it. You can see it. If you look at that photo, just pull it up, look at it. It epitomizes the glamour shot. It really does. From the sunglasses all the way down to the back of the storm victim's head. Why couldn't they show the storm victim's face? Why didn't they show the back of Barry's?
Yeah, that's a huge shame. So on the video you made about that, you hold up the newspaper. Is that considered a liberal publication, or do they not wear their politics on their sleeve, or was this a mistake that they made, or what's the story with them?
I'm not sure. I don't. The Baton Rouge Advocate. They do things that's just really, really harebrained. They did Facebook Live videos with the Muslim Brotherhood down here and ran.
What?
These guys from the Muslim Brotherhood are threatening to take down the banks, blow stuff up, and it's all on the Baton Rouge Advocate Facebook page on Facebook Live video. This is when the Alton Sterling thing was blowing up, and I was there. I saw it with my own two eyes, and so I was covering some of this stuff. And I'll tell you this: the Democrats were out there at the scene of the Alton Sterling shooting, registering people to vote.
Oh.
So, yeah, at that store where Alton Sterling, if you're familiar with that, Alton Sterling was shot and killed here in Baton Rouge.
He was the one that was struggling while he was on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big deal, covered by the media.
Oh, yeah, we got it. We covered that. There were just so many of them back to back to back. I was trying to remember if that was the one where he was on the ground, and they had him on the ground. They were trying to arrest him, but he was actually armed, which you didn't know at first, and they finally were able to, I guess they ended up having to shoot him because they couldn't stop him from struggling, and come to find out the firearm was actually in his pocket, and he was reaching for it, and so they kind of had to do that.
In his pocket. When people don't understand that you could easily unload an entire clip from your pocket while
Right.
you're on the ground.
That was demonstrated in a YouTube video. I don't know if you saw that. There was some sort of a firearms trainer, possibly a cop or something like that, and he demonstrated how you can aim a gun while it's in your pocket. And you can even shoot the gun with your hand outside the pocket and your gun is inside the pocket, because all you have to do is put pressure on the trigger.
And, in a lot of circumstances, it's even more dangerous if you don't aim. So, that's just a volatile situation that could kill anybody.
Yeah, people need
anybody.
we need to
Anyway,
support the blue.
My point is that the Democrats were there at that store registering people to vote.
What?
They had a table set up. So I filmed it. It's on my channel somewhere.
We'll definitely find that, and we will post that, because that, you know what it makes it sound like? I mean, we always entertain these conspiracy theories. We're not like some channels I'm not going to name where they report it as definite fact. We report conspiracy theories as what if? Is this possible? If we don't have proof that it's not this way, could it be this way? And I'll tell you what, when you talk about there's all these voter drives and voter registrations at a protest or a riot or something like that, it almost makes you wonder if these riots are staged in order to drum up enough agitation in order to get people to sign up to vote. It's crazy.
Well, if you look at the amount of dissension that Hillary Clinton is sowing, there's got to be a motive. I mean, there's got to be a motive to sow that much dissension among the ranks. There's got to be.
Yeah, I think that would be covered in Rules for Radicals. But like you said, you have to agitate the public and all that for change, and that's all written in Rules for Radicals. But the question then becomes, what is it they're trying to change? What kind of policies are they trying to implement? And it's really sad for conservatives like us. We know the ends don't always justify the means. Why is it that it's necessary to cause so much violence in order to get a policy change? A conservative would say, well, we want these policies changed into a better, more conservative policy, but we're not going to sow the seeds of violence to make it happen.
Yeah, it's the things that the Democrats are doing right now, especially Hillary Clinton, by characterizing people as racist. I mean, they're literally trying to scare people into thinking that we're back in the 1940s or the 1950s, and we're not on the precipice of that. We're on the precipice of making this country better than it's ever been before. No part of making America great has to do with making everybody racist.
Right.
I mean, we're not trying to promote racism. Nobody's trying to bring back the KKK. I mean, it's not happening, especially not with the Trump people.
No.
So, I think a lot of that is lost. It's a shame that they're playing the race card to such a degree, because it could really get people hurt, man. I mean, it's dangerous to agitate that many people at one time. It really is.
So you're listening to Steve Spell 2 from YouTube fame. And one thing, let's stay on this topic. One of the reasons why we reached out to you and we like to do interviews with people like you is you're not part of the mainstream media, but you're getting your word heard. And there's like this new groundswell movement that's brand new in America and the world, and it's being labeled as alt-right. Did you ever hear of this label alt-right before, maybe a couple weeks ago?
I had never heard of it until it came out of Hillary Clinton's mouth.
Okay, that's interesting that you say that, because me and my
alt-right for me was That was a computer function to back out of a screen.
Right.
That's exactly what I said it was.
So before the speech came out, we had heard a lot of my friends on Twitter, and it's like our circle of friends that are trying to make change from a social media platform, and some of them are becoming semi-famous. Some of them are actually famous, like your Mike Cernoviches and stuff like that. But we heard about alt-right, and we assumed maybe they're talking about us, so we kind of latched onto this label, and all of a sudden they're trying to do like a Tea Party maneuver on us. But I was just curious if you thought that you were part of the alt-right movement. We thought we were, but then again, like you said, you never heard of it until Hillary said something about it. We had heard about it maybe a couple weeks prior to Hillary, and Hillary's making it sound like it's this movement that's been going on for many, many years or something, that we have this conspiracy to take over America with our white racism and all this kind of stuff. And I was just curious if you had had a chance to kind of digest that mentally or anything like that.
No. I mean, I have, but I can tell you now that Trump's people are not. We can't be considered alt-right because we're really not all that far away from the mainstream conservative philosophy.
Oh, right, absolutely.
We may not be as deeply religious in a lot of respects, but we in no way subscribe. I mean, when she said that alt-right would be considered a fringe element, because they are going to be associated with groups, and it's just nothing about Trump makes me think that he is associated with somebody that's trying to elevate the white race. Trump's trying to elevate the whole country.
That's right.
And the country is made up of more than just white people.
Right.
So I think that it's far-fetched to say that the Trump's people are some organization that just wants to elevate the white person's status. I mean, that's hogwash. How do you make the entire country great again if you don't bring everybody with you?
And Trump keeps talking about that. He kept saying again and again this week, African American, Latino American, all Americans. We're all Americans, and to get this done, we all have to be together. On a side note, there's an organization that refers to themselves as Trumpocrats. They have it's a Trumpocratspac.org, and it's a grassroots movement that apparently has been able to raise $60,000-$70,000 within the past few weeks. And they came out right after her speech, and Breitbart reported on them. That's how I found out about them. That they are Democrats originally who are for Trump. And they said that alt-right speech that she gave, they felt she gave that speech to scare them into staying a Democrat and voting Clinton. And they came out flat out and said it was a failed speech and it will backfire. And if and this is the Trumpocrats on their super PAC, this is what the definition of Trumpocrats is, what they refer to themselves are. They say they are Americans first. We come from every political party or no party at all, every walk of life, all across this country. We're Democrats, Independents, Republicans. We're teachers, technicians, cops, coal miners. We are workers. We're your neighbor. We support Donald Trump because we believe he will make this country strong again. So that's just the whole encompassing Trumpocrat. Whoever you are in America, if you are for Trump, pretty much Trumpocrat.
That pretty much sums it up.
That's going to go for everybody, though, of any nationality and all races. And, CNN says that Donald Trump only has 1% of the African American.
Oh, that's a lie.
So you think about it. CNN is going to try to make us believe that Hillary Clinton is going to get more of the African American vote than the first African American president.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
And that's hogwash.
You mean Bill Clinton?
But that's hogwash,
Bill Clinton, the first African American president. Is that who you're talking about?
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, there's no way that's going to happen. No way. I've been paying attention to, presidential politics for a long time now. Have you ever seen as many black Americans come out publicly in YouTube videos, in interviews and stuff like that for any Republican candidate. I mean, it used to be that even with Romney, you're like 5%. He got 5% of the black vote. That's 1 out of 20. Who are these 1 out of 20? You never see them. You never hear of them. They never come out publicly and never say anything. But now it's like you have all these people that have their own YouTube channels. You got Wayne Dupree that's got his own popular conservative talk show. And have you ever seen as much?
No, it's enormous. It's like you said earlier. You use that term groundswell. It's just there's so many people. There's so many people, and it's driving the mainstream media nuts. Because they have to try to cover it up. I mean, the news used to cover stuff. Now they just cover it up.
Right.
So it's driving the mainstream media nuts, the amount of support that Trump has. And, and I tell my listeners and my followers, look, it's not time for us to panic. It's time for us to panic if Hillary Clinton does exceedingly abundantly well in that first debate. And
Good point.
Then this thing could start to spiral out of control. But until we see that first debate, it's we have to just assume that all is well. We really do.
Well, if they get the right program and the program doesn't go bad, then Hillary Clinton as the robot could perform not like a PC, but maybe more like an Apple.
She glitched.
Mac, look, a Big Mac. Never mind.
Oh, wow.
All right. That was bad taste. I get it.
Bad taste, literally.
Oh, wow.
I'm a Whopper type of guy myself, but that's funny.
Hillary Clinton tells some Whoppers. So,
that's true.
Even if the lighting is right, for this debate, it could be bad for Hillary. But the audio
wow, that's true.
Right,
That may sound like it was like a classless statement, but she's been looking pretty unhealthy lately, hasn't she?
well, the woman has a face for radio. The problem with her is the debates are televised. The problem for her is that the debates are televised. It's not a radio broadcast.
Right.
So,
yeah, but have you ever heard her sound bites where you don't even see her face, you're just on the radio, and they play a sound bite? And I don't know if the audio people hate her, but it's always like distorted and clipping, and it's like blowing your speakers out. And I feel like it doesn't matter one way or another. She's got that harsh, grating voice.
Yeah, if you want to hear I don't know. I don't. Nothing Hillary Clinton says is pleasurable when I hear it. I mean, I could get better results from going in the bathroom and using the hand dryer. If I want to hear push the button and get a bunch of hot air instantly.
There you go.
But this alt-right thing, you were bringing that up. Have you looked at the Wikipedia for the alt-right?
Actually, I did not. But I will tell you this. I mean, I'll let you tell me what that says in a second. But the New York Times posted a front page article declaring that Breitbart.com has arrived, which I was just totally blown away by. And they referred to Breitbart.com as kind of the media center for the alt-right. And for that to be a front page news and for them to declare that just blew my mind. But what does Wikipedia say about alt-right?
It says the alt-right has been said to be a largely online movement of internet memes. Now think about that for a minute. This woman, Hillary Clinton, is bringing up something that is all about internet memes. How can you characterize somebody? Donald Trump didn't get $11 billion and build half of New York based on internet memes. I mean, this is just if you look at alt-right on Wikipedia, it's almost as if this is a joke. How do you start a movement based on internet memes, and how credible could that movement ever be?
Well, anybody that gets on the internet regularly and is a part of that culture will know it's the internet. An internet meme is a thing, but the person behind the internet meme is what we call a troll. We call that a troll.
Zuckerberg. Well, Mark Zuckerberg is. I mean, you could say that Facebook is alt-right because these memes are all over Facebook, and so is Twitter.
Right, and I will tell you, we got to warn you and warn anybody else listening that Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey, who's the guy that runs Twitter, they are really far. They're in the tank for Clinton, and so what they do is they ban any kind of, well, they'll ban as many conservatives as they can, and they even have really devious ways of banning them. They call it shadow banning now, where you actually get on as a user and you have no idea that there's anything wrong with your account. Everything operates as normal, but you've been shadow banned, and so everything that you post and everything that you do has limited visibility, and you don't even know. So that kind of stuff is happening. But the people behind these memes are trolls, and the trolls are people you don't want to mess with.
No, you don't. But Mark Zuckerberg must really like me because he's showing my stuff to everybody.
Oh, that's good.
Your stuff has got. I've noticed every once in a while. It there for a stint at the very beginning of this campaign run on Smith Radio on our Facebook page. I would get super secret probation.
Oh, yeah.
Where I wouldn't be allowed to do anything and I couldn't do anything. But I kept hacking at it and I kept going away at it. And now, every once in a while, if I share a post in a group and I can notice it because usually it takes the computer a couple of seconds to register and send it to that group. Well, now it'll blip and be instant. I'm like, did that really go?
Right.
And so I go to that group to see if and it wasn't posted.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's terrible.
Out of maybe a dozen posts a day, it'll happen twice.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 or 3 times.
That might be part of a shadow banning. It's amazing. I mean, I'm not trying to be conspiratorial and the conspiracy theory, but it's been proven. And when you see people like Milo banned because somebody else on his behalf was attacking that Ghostbusters Leslie Jones, there's just something really wrong with the way social media is being maintained and run and managed.
And it's so powerful. I mean, it's so social media. It reaches so many more people than the mainstream media.
Now, it seems like YouTube, except for the fact that they're really vigilant on the copyright infringement claims and all that kind of stuff, they seem to be the freest out of the 3 big ones between Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, which is what you're on. And so that's probably a good thing for you. And you do these short little 2.5-minute videos, which are, I think they're really powerful. I got a chance to look at them for the first time today when Brian told me you were going to be on. And so that I think those 2-minute ones are great because a lot of times people see 7-minute video and they're like, I don't have time for this.
or they see Smith Radio and it's 300 minutes. So
you got to be careful with how you present on Facebook because the average Facebook user has the attention span of a gnat.
Right.
And they're being bombarded with so much information that's trying to distract them, trying to get them away from your stuff. Mm-hmm. So you got to get in those 2-minute videos. They're designed to get a message out, make an emotional connection with the audience, and because if you can connect with your audience emotionally, they will share your stuff.
And that's why you got 1 million views on that one because that really connects with people. People really respond to hypocrisy. That's why you see when people. They try to make an effective attack on people by calling them a hypocrite and stuff like that. But you really capture the hypocrisy of the photo op situation, especially. Just everybody knows what happened with Katrina and how Bush was attacked directly by Obama because of the way he handled that as far as the photo op situation is concerned. And that was a great video.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you liked it, and it was from the disaster area, so.
Did you notice a big uptick in your subscriptions and stuff like that on that?
Yeah, I did. It's just the enormous amount of people when I posted it, at the end of the day, the post reach on that video was 1.3 million. That was by the end of the day. The post reach, and it had 375,000 views in 9 hours. And so I was like, well, this thing is really moving. Well, the next day, it didn't slow down, and then this morning it hit 1 million. And I'm hoping it's one of those videos that will continue to climb and not fizzle out. Some videos you get a lot of hits and then they just drop.
Right.
And, I'm hoping that one just keeps going.
What I'm hoping that you do, that one's kind of time sensitive because in 3 weeks the content will not be as relevant because of the fact that you're talking directly about something that just happened. It's like a current event. So what I'm hoping is that you continue to make videos like that on the news of the day, and maybe they'll all get 1 million hits. That'd be awesome.
Well, when I started that Facebook page, Donald Trump Media Tracker. When I started that's what I've done, and I've now here lately it's all been about this storm, but that's what I'm living in. So, and it's but the storm is passing now, and I'll be right back to the grind. So right. I don't miss much.
And it's a shame that that the media is scrubbed the whole flooding. I mean, honestly, the only way to find out information on the Louisiana flood, they're saying the greatest, like I said before, the greatest flood since Hurricane Katrina. It's unbelievable how the news media, the mainstream media, has gotten that out of people's mind, out of their sight. Like I'll bring it up to people and ask them, hey, you remember that? Did you hear about that? And a lot of times people won't even know.
Well, let me just tell you. And that just goes, this overall narrative, one of the things I was so upset about is when you understand that Louisiana is Trump country, that this is an overwhelmingly far Trump state, there was no reason politically for Donald Trump to come here and stage a photo op. He's got this state in the bag. So, so for them to accuse him of a photo op, when for what? He's going to win this state regardless. Huge numbers. That's huge numbers.
Right.
I mean, the last official numbers that we had was right when it started raining here in Louisiana. Just 2 weeks ago, the numbers came out for Louisiana, and Trump had a 16.5-point lead over Hillary Clinton. And so I can promise you nothing's changed in a week and a half. If anything, he's gotten stronger.
Do you have your house was destroyed, wasn't it? Or how much damage did you get?
6 feet. We got about 6 feet of water in the house. Yeah, it was destroyed.
How long did the water stay up like that?
About 5 days.
Oh, gosh. Man.
Wow. So the whole time it's just soaking up all the wood and all the furniture, just soaking all that water up, and it's just done for.
All that drywall all the way to the top. It'll wick all the way to the top.
Oh, wow. So now do you have to demolish the house, or do you just gut it and redo it from the inside?
We're going to gut it. We're going to try to gut it and redo it from the inside.
Wow.
Because the upstairs, we can salvage the upstairs. So we just got to. We're going to try to gut it and redo it from the inside. What we're all nervous about right now is if anything else hits, if a storm comes in from the Gulf.
Hey, check this out. Check this out, Steve. We've got a Spreaker listener, Andrea. We got a live message board while the show is on Spreaker, and she made a comment just a little bit earlier that did you know that your Facebook page went up 10,000 likes within just a couple of days?
I haven't really been able to keep up with it.
Okay, well, she made that comment. So apparently your page is getting traction. And whatever you post, I'm reposting as well to some of the Trump groups, and I reposted on our page. And I did see this GoFundMe page. She's saying that she helped you set that up. Did you hear about that?
Yes, I don't know her personally. She is a fan, and she contacted me. She's from Iowa. She contacted me and she said, I've been watching your videos. I know that you're a Trump supporter. I see what you're going through. I want to set this GoFundMe page up and see if I can help you reimburse some of your losses. And so she set that up.
Oh, okay.
And I talked to GoFundMe, and they said I was the only beneficiary. So whenever I found out I was the only beneficiary, I started mentioning it in some of my videos. So, yes, there is a GoFundMe page there for people to donate if they can.
What's the link? Do you have the link?
We can
GoFundMe Steve Spell.
Okay.
GoFundMe.com/something.
Steve Spell.
Steve Spell. Okay. No two on the end of that. Without the two.
No two on me. If I would have done it, there would have been a two. So.
right. So, okay, I heard. I don't know. I guess I should get it from the horse's mouth. Did you have flood insurance?
No.
And that's because what, the whole neighborhood is kind of not in the flood area, right?
Well, we're in a flood area, but flood insurance is just outrageously high here.
Oh, so you guys just kind of have to just hope for the best.
Well, we just hope it doesn't. And we haven't had a flood. We haven't had a flood in a while. Now it flooded in March. In March we had a flooding event here. It wasn't that significant.
Okay.
But then this came through and was significant to the point of just catastrophe.
Right.
I mean, when you got 5.5 feet of water in your living room, I mean, that's just a game changer.
Right. Well, I've posted, for the folks that are listening right now, I've posted the GoFundMe link on our Facebook page that's also connected to the show. So if you go to our Facebook page, it's Smith Radio, and you want to listen to the show, and you're listening to the show, there's also a link in the title for the GoFundMe.com/Steve Spell. No two.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Ironically, that video that I posted on Thursday morning, it was meant to be a thank you video to thank the people that donated. And then I went into my dissertation about Obama, and that video went viral. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, that was just, for that video to go viral was just a huge blessing.
Right.
It was a huge
I guess if you knew it was going to blow up that quickly and that big, you might have added some things in there like, oh, by the way, hit my GoFundMe.
I would have had a big old sign behind me.
Right. That's right. Click here, please. Yeah, that's amazing. It's weird how you never know what's going to blow up on YouTube, right? It's like you put up videos and you hope that whatever you put up goes viral, and the ones that you think don't, and the ones that you think won't end up going viral.
I advise everyone that posts videos to optimize them in every way, assuming you just got to assume that it's going to go viral and hope for the best, because you don't want something going viral that's not branded properly. You want to make sure that your video gets a message out, and so
right.
you have to just hope that everything goes viral and brand it properly. Put your name on. Like if you guys make a Facebook video, you put your email address on it, or your website, or your handle, whatever you're trying to plug, somewhere on the video, because if it does go viral, you're gonna benefit from that exposure.
Yeah, that's good advice. I noticed that. Are you new with Twitter? Because you got a huge following on Facebook. You got a pretty good amount of subscribers on YouTube, and then you got your viral videos that get a lot of watches. But it seems like on Twitter there's not a huge following there. Is that something that you're just kind of new at, or you just haven't really gotten on?
Because I'm a video guy.
Right.
I'm a video guy, and Twitter up until recently really didn't have very many options for videos.
That's true. And
so
now it's pretty good with it. Now you can always link.
Right now.
Yeah.
So I haven't really pushed it now, but now I'm seeing that there is video potential, but it used to not be that way for Twitter. You could post, when they started out, I think, a 10 or 30-second video clips. It was just a lot different. It was a lot different animal. So I haven't really pushed my Twitter. I haven't really tried. And about my Facebook assets, I'm going to tell you guys. I mean, it's what I've done there is remarkable, considering the fact that I haven't spent a penny on sponsored posts.
Right.
So, not one penny. Since I started the page in January, I haven't spent one penny on advertising or sponsored posts.
That's incredible. Yeah, because I do our Facebook page for Smith Radio, and it's tough to get that kind of following that you've got, and you've got something special. And like I said, when I first saw you, I was like, what's this guy talking about?
Yeah, right.
And I was sucked into it. So,
well, just in case you end up spending more time on it, Steve Spell 2, his Twitter account is at Steve Spell 2. That's STEVESPELL, the number 2. And definitely follow him on Twitter, and maybe that's something you can incorporate. We found it to be a pretty valuable resource as far as getting that kind of stuff out. It goes quickly. When you want to propagate news very, very quickly, or to receive breaking news before everybody else, Twitter's the place to go.
Like ADD quick.
Yeah, a lot. I agree with you on that one. We only got 7 days until this election, so Trump supporters everywhere are going to have to. We're going to have to make sure that we're getting the right messages out.
Right.
Absolutely.
On multiple
really
fronts.
Well, Steve,
And YouTube is
go ahead.
YouTube's a little bit different animal. YouTube's a little bit different animal than Facebook. I mean, you got YouTube is world. It's global in a way that, you know, you see somebody work on YouTube and it's pro-Trump. It helps if you give it a like, because the thumbs down feature on YouTube is brutal. It
Really?
really is. Well, you got on YouTube you can thumbs down a video. On Facebook you can't.
Right, it's
And
all
so
thumbs up only.
Yeah, or reactions, which reactions could be a win any way you look at it. You know, so it's no thumbs down on YouTube. It's either thumbs up or thumbs down.
Now, I don't
And,
know.
you know,
I don't know if this is common across the board, but I notice that every time I thumb up any video on YouTube, it will send an automatic tweet through my Twitter account and says, "At Smith Radio liked this video," and it becomes a tweet. And I know, and I would have never even noticed that until my followers will then retweet that, and then that shows up on my timeline. And I said, "Oh, they retweeted a tweet that came from YouTube saying that I liked the video." So that's really cool the way that's all incorporated.
Yeah, that's and it's thumbs up video on YouTube, and then you know. So anyway, I got 18,000 subscribers, almost 19,000 subscribers on YouTube, and 70-something thousand likes on Facebook, and then my Steve Spell 2 fan page I just started working on that, so I guess I got probably around 4,000 followers there. But everything I invest my time on that Donald Trump Media Tracker.
Donald Trump Media Tracker. That's on Facebook, right?
Yes, sir. That's me. That's all me. I'm the only
Have to make
administrator.
sure.
I'm the content creator, and that's where my work can be seen the most, right there.
So that's where everybody needs to go and like that page.
Well, that's incredible, Steve. I really hope that we set this up more often.
Yeah, come back on
so that you can be on. Well, I mean, certainly to be able to another medium to get your voice out, another medium to be able to reach out to a whole other section of people on Spreaker, and like I said. You can listen to all our shows. They play over and over again, and they're forever on iHeartRadio, on iTunes, and also the podcast if you got podcast on your phone.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you're not familiar with the way the Spreaker platform works, you are on live right now, and you have a certain amount of live listeners, but you get a lot more listens because after the show's over, it becomes a podcast. And so people could listen on demand at any time. So this will end up being part of the permanent archives, just like any YouTube video that you make. It's just the audio version.
Okay, yeah, it's similar to Facebook Live. You guys may want to try that some. That's real. The Facebook Live. I just recently started using Facebook Live.
I'll check that out. We've been using Periscope, but the way I understand it is it works almost exactly the same as Periscope. So I guess they're competing against each other now. I have to check that out to see how that works. But that's great. So
yeah, Facebook Live is really cool. I advise you to check that out.
Okay.
Guys, I appreciate the opportunity. I love to be on the show, and if you'll have me back, I'll come back again.
Absolutely, Steve.
Sure thing. All right, Steve Spell 2. Thanks for being on.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. You rock.
All right,
All right,
have
buddy.
a good one.
All right.
All right.
Wow. Well,
Awesome.
Obviously, I didn't intend for the interview. Well, I didn't expect the interview to go that long, but there was just so much information.
We'll keep it going as long as there's stuff to talk about. And, it's funny. Once you get kind of comfortable with each other, then the jokes start coming out. And it gets hilarity ensues, I guess you could say. That was awesome.
Steve is such a,
Did you get the audio working?
Who's the biggest liar of all?
This is Steve.
There you go. Here's his...
Liar in a dress. 11 hours could not make her confess. She lied on Capitol
Who's he
Hill.
talking about? Who's he talking about?
She lied about her husband, Bill.
Oh.
She lied on the radio. And she lied about that godforsaken video. And I want to know why she lies to me so much. And I want to know why she's deceiving my trust. How come every word out of her mouth is in need of proof? Don't she know if she can't lie no better? She should just tell the truth. And I want to know. I want to know.
This is just him in a room with a guitar.
Why is it getting harder every day? Why is there a big old stack of bills here that I can't pay? Why has my own party left me betrayed by these turncoat establishment candidates? And I want to know, how come we never win anymore? Why are other countries getting even and settling up old scores? Why do our politicians have revolving doors? Why do they laugh in our faces every time that they change course? And I want to know why they lie to me so much. And I want to know why they're deceiving my trust. How come every word out of their mouth is in need of proof? Don't they know if they can't lie no better? They should just tell the truth. And I want to know, why is this political storm of ruin? Why is our country on the brink of ruin? How come our elected leaders don't know what the hell they're doing? Hillary Clinton, I'm talking to you, it's all absolutely true. And I want to know, why can't we build a gosh darn wall?
Oh, we will.
We put a man on the moon and we're headed to Mars now, y'all. Why can't our leaders make the right calls? Why is this whole damn country so fed up and sick and tired of this all? And I want to know why they lie to me so much. And I want to know why they're deceiving my trust. How come every word out of their mouth is in need of proof? Don't they know if they can't lie no better? They should just tell the truth. And I want to know why.
Steve Spell 2 for you guys. Yes. Awesome. I'll tell you what, I don't know whether to laugh, cry, or get really angry listening to that song because, I mean...
It's something that we talk about on the show all the time and something that I've told other people that I run into on the streets, and they're like, hey, how do you guys do that? And you laugh and you joke and you have fun and you cut up about politics. This is serious. I'm like, whoa. I used to be like that too.
Right.
But you gotta...
What did we say when we started this? Well, after a couple weeks of doing this, it's like therapy.
This is our therapy.
This is
100%
because we used
therapy.
to get so angry. And finally, what did we say? We gotta vent. We gotta tell the world what's going on, or try to educate them, or something. And then that's where the show came from.
Right, and we would do this for hours on end. Our wives freaking out. Why are you talking to Carrie on the phone for 5 hours?
Our whole family, when we would have family get-togethers, they would be like, "Oh, Carrie and Brian are together. Get just everybody out of here." You know,
well, we don't do that anymore. Now, when we go to family get-togethers, they come to us because it's out of my system. I'm good to go.
Right.
They come to us. Hey, did you hear about? Hey, did you guys? You guys need to talk about this.
They become our producers.
I'm like, well, folks, and I do. I humor. I do. I never try and be that know-it-all. Ever. I know how Rush feels. Rush Limbaugh, how he feels. He says when he's with family and in public, he's a very quiet person.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when it comes to politics.
I remember watching and I don't like this guy anymore, but Bill O'Reilly. I was watching a segment with him doing the show. And they were about to go on commercial break. And when they went on commercial break, the camera stayed on. So this video was during the break. And he had his guest there. And the guest was going to continue the interview after the break. And he sat there right in front of his guest during the whole break, dead silent, without saying a word.
It's kind of creepy, no?
Yeah, I think it was Michael Moore, actually. He had Michael Moore on, and they were getting heated, and they were screaming at each other, and you know how Bill O'Reilly is. He likes to just get loud and everything. And as soon as he said, we'll be back after this with more of Michael Moore, and the camera stayed on, he just looked down and was shuffling through papers and didn't say a word.
I kind of would be, too.
Yeah.
Speaking about Michael Moore, that just a despicable human leech, takes advantage of a capitalist society to enrich himself to the tune of millions of dollars, lying, but using capitalism to do it, and then turns around to bash capitalism. Just insanity. But a couple of weeks ago, one of our loyal listeners gave me a heads up and said, hey, have you heard this conspiracy theory about that Michael Moore is peddling? And apparently, I didn't hear it, Oh, that's at the top of the stack of stuff. We're going to get to San Fran here in a minute. But Michael Moore was trying to start this viral thing of Trump. It's all a lie. It's all fake. It is. He did this to only one thing: enrich himself with.
He's a 10 billionaire.
But he wanted a news. He wanted not a news. He wanted his own channel.
Oh, right. That's the new conspiracy.
His own show, his own channel, the Trump channel, and he could care less of where America's going, and he's fine with Hillary. How does any of that wash out? How does that
Here's my response to that. Number one, I don't blame him if he sees an opportunity for a new network. I don't blame him. He's a businessman. If he sees an opportunity and he gets a chance to go for it, if he does, that's what businessmen do. Okay, so I'm not going to sit there. Let's say by some miracle, Clinton pulls off successfully the stealing of the election, just like Democrats usually do, and she ends up winning, and Donald Trump is out. If he goes on to create the network that all the conspiracy theorists are saying he does, it won't be because that's the only thing he really wanted to do and he had no interest of being president. It'll just be another business opportunity for him to go after. And to be honest with you, to me, look at us. We're on the radio. We're broadcasting our thoughts out to the world. We're political commentators. This is our involvement in the system. If Donald Trump ends up going that route, I could look at it as his involvement in the system, right?
Right.
As opposed to him winning the presidency. What is he doing right now? He's trying to win the presidency. Why? Because that's what he wants his contribution to be to the political system in America, right?
Right.
If it doesn't work and it turns out that he falls back on the network, like a new network that he creates from scratch, more power to him. I think his supporters will be glad that he's still able to contribute as opposed to just fading off into the sunset.
Stay relevant in the media, in the news, and stay relevant with the times. And,
right.
I would assume it would be an expose to dive into that ugly, deep, seethy world of politics.
Right, right. And I think I would hope that he stays relevant. I mean, look at this movement that he is the figurehead of. I would hate for that movement to die just because Hillary successfully steals the presidency.
Right. And we even talked about Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck had that huge movement with the Tea Party.
And he let it die.
Not only did he let it die, but Glenn Beck...
He kind of contributed to the death.
He ruined it. When the whole racist thing came out, the racist accusation, Tea Party members ran because their leader ran.
Right.
Do you see what's going on with Trump today? Do you see what's going on with the black community today? And the white community? Everybody's sick and tired of being called a racist,
yes.
a bigot,
yes.
a homophobe.
They're sick of it. That's why Nero, so popular, or Milo, so popular. He's gay, and he calls himself the dangerous faggot. And that would be extremely provocative, right?
Right.
And he's just like, you know what? We're not going to get offended by this stuff anymore. And it's a breath of fresh air. The offended culture, I guess you could call it, the victim culture. It's just everybody's sick of it. Everybody's so sick of it. And white men are done being called racist. It's over, and I repeat it every single time the race card gets attempted to be played on Twitter. Every time I always respond the same way. The days of white people being called racist, unsubstantiated. Now, if somebody's a racist and they say something racist or they do something racist, you should call them out on it. But to call somebody racist because you want to win the argument or you want to shut them up, that's over.
There's a guy that we follow, Emery King. He's a professional...
troll?
He's a no. He definitely is a professional troll.
Okay,
but he's got 2 awards. He's the arm wrestling champion, the Arm Wars champion 2015, and 2015 national champion for the UAL. And his title is the stop sign, and you can find him on YouTube. It's the stop sign is a B word. Okay. He's on YouTube.
All right.
So he's pretty outspoken. He's pretty out there. But check this out, and this is kind of telling. He's tired of it too, and this is his rant on what's going on with the race car.
Okay.
I did my white privilege video a little while back. Talked about how I worked hard. I don't have white privilege. It just doesn't exist. It's comical. Where's Tiger Woods' white privilege? O.J. Simpson's? Neil Tyson deGrasse? Even the President of the United States is black. Y'all got the White House. Like, seriously, calm your tits. But I did my video about white privilege, and black people got on there and like, you don't know nothing about no you can't tell us nothing about no white privilege, man, because you ain't black. Plus, you probably racist as anyway. Cracker, peckerwood, motherfucker. Call me a racist, and you call me a cracker. If I can't tell y'all what it's like to not have white privilege because I'm not black, how the can you tell me about having white privilege if you ain't white? I went to my first mental home when I was 8 years old. I was a runaway living on the streets of Louisville, Kentucky at age 11. I got charged with first-degree armed robbery at the age of 16 years old. I was facing 20 years and I had a $150,000 full cash bond. I got out of prison when I was 21 years old. I worked hard, quit acting like a dumbass, worked harder and worked harder and worked harder. Instead of protesting the streets, I had a job. Instead of bitching and complaining about everything and having this sense of self-entitlement, the world owes me something, or woe is me, I'm being treated unfairly. I picked up my nuts, held myself accountable, now I live in a mansion. Wow. I drive a Mercedes. I've gained weight, but I assure you the food I'm eating is really expensive, exquisite, and only available for white people. But you must display your white privilege card at the door. Saying that somebody has white privilege, if you associate that with somebody's success, that is a excuse. And let me tell you something, anybody that makes one smidgen of a excuse will never see success. You'll be in the same place you are 10 years from now. Bitter.
It's like
self-righteous and still searching for the white privileged Bigfoot. The world owes you nothing. Society owes you nothing. It's actually quite the opposite. You owe the world something. There's scientists curing diseases. We got a go-kart on Mars. There's people like me that spend my time attending military and police events. There's people on the side of the highway picking up litter. What the are you doing? You're on the internet, on Facebook, typing away. You got white privilege. You got where you're at because you're white. What about Denzel Washington, LeBron James, Ozzie Smith? I had to throw it in there. It's my favorite shortstop. Oprah Winfrey, Sidney Poitier, W.E.B. Du Bois. Let me tell you something. You can say whatever you want, but you have zero excuse. You got the rest of your life to be a nobody. Take a day off. Be a somebody. I remember a king, and the king has spoken.
Take a day off.
Kennedy, you about ready? Nobody. They got a white privilege festival down here at the waterfront.
Take a day off from being a nobody so you could be a somebody.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Emery King, folks, you can find him on Facebook. Just the king has spoken.
My sentiments exactly. I'm so done with it's an excuse. It's and you know what? He was being prejudged. They don't know that a lot of the things that he went through as a kid, based on what I've just listened to him say, is very similar to the kind of things that I would say, maybe not a majority, but a lot of black youth go through, which is going through the justice system, maybe spending time in a juvie hall or even real prison, and then having a record and wondering why these authority figures are trying to hold you down. You know, I'm sure he's gone through all that. And yet, as an older person now, a black man or woman would come up to him and say, I could tell by the color of your skin that you have a mansion, you drive a Mercedes, and you have white skin. Clearly, you are the beneficiary of the fact that your skin is white. And that's got to infuriate him. They're prejudging him. They're judging him based on the color of his skin, and they don't know that if you look at his real background, that the only difference between him and your average black person is at some point, and when I mean average, I mean the ones that are screaming out white privilege, that have nothing or do nothing or whatever, is that he just decided, I'm going to start working my butt off and making this happen.
And he puts these videos up all the time. Really, really good. And there is a reason why I played that. We're about ready to segue into something. But before we do, it happened to me I lived out in California for about 10 years, and I had a construction company at one point in time, right after 9/11. And we did great. We did really well all the way up until 2008. But somewhere around 2005, 2006, I'd run into some new friends, and I ran into a female, and she was of the Latina persuasion. She was Hispanic of sorts. And the first words out of her mouth. Now, granted, she didn't see me building up to the construction company. She just saw me with the truck, the shop, the money, and the first words out of her mouth were, "Oh, well, you're white and you're a guy, you're male."
And that's why you got what you got.
That's why I got what I got.
So he showed up. You.
Oh, yeah.
So Brian shows up to the government agency to get his stuff, and he says, "Okay, I'm a white male. I'm here to pick up all my stuff," and he did. And that's
they
what
gave
you got.
me a truck. They gave me a company. They gave me employees. However,
that sounds silly, but I swear it feels like, based on observation, that this is what your average liberal, Democrat, progressive, a younger person who's not experienced with the world, who happens to be a leftist,
right,
by propaganda,
Well, I mean, but she was raised in the L.A. school district, which after sixth grade, 50% drop out.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
After sixth grade. So what I informed her was, okay, 5 years ago, I didn't have a dime to my name, literally nothing, and I was working.
No, you really didn't. If you ever heard Brian's story, you wouldn't believe it. I cannot even believe it. When Brian tells the story of what he had come from.
But I won't go into that much. But
one of these days I'm gonna interview Brian on his backstory.
I'm gonna have to prepare myself.
Oh my goodness.
But I informed her. No, I literally moved into a 500 square foot garage in South Central LA, which ironically happened to be centralized. So got around.
Centralized location.
Right. I had to get a pit bull to ward off.
Is that why you got that?
Oh, man. Everybody had a pit bull that wanted security.
Wow.
Because there were no cops. There are no cops in L.A.
Wow.
No.
Okay,
so on and on. She didn't see none of that. She didn't see me sleeping in the shop. She didn't see me make a makeshift bed. She didn't see me put up a pole so I could hang up my clothes in the bathroom. And
that was like your residence.
Yes, I lived. And the only reason why that happened is because the guy who owned it lived in San Francisco. So he would never come down. So he wouldn't know.
Yeah, okay.
Didn't see that. That went on for at least a couple of years. Yeah,
wow.
Man.
I didn't even know that long.
I'm just saying. IJ, in the words of my 17-year-old niece.
This is all the result of your white privilege.
IJS, I'm just saying.
IJS.
Well, if you look back, and I think we've talked about this before, if you look back through both of our pasts, what we're doing right now is a culmination of all of that.
Right.
It has led up. I mean, Kerry can go through his entire story, which is amazing in itself.
I didn't have to suffer like Brian did. That's for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Well, sometimes people tend to bring it on themselves, and then you learn to get out of your way.
But you didn't. You just didn't know, though.
Right. I didn't have the direction.
Because you had started off where everybody else started off, which is 12 years of indoctrination by our propaganda system that is better known as the Department of Education.
Right. So this all segues into this. Just despicable. This was breaking. One of our listeners messaged me late the other night and said, "Hey, what's going on? What do you think? You think Kapernick? You think he's a Muslim or a racist? What is it?" Okay.
All right. Let's talk about the 49ers and the NFL and their quarterback.
Their quarterback.
Is it Colin or Colin? He's a Colin now.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, Colin Kapernick for the 49ers, and I'm just going to give you my personal opinion about his football style.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's ever been that good.
He was like a third-round draft pick.
And his style is not what they put it out there to be, the next, Steve.
Young?
Yeah, the next Steve Young. He's not that guy. He's not
Joe Montana?
He's not the pinpoint laser beam passer. He flies by the seat of his pants, and it looks uncomfortable at times, and it's just... I'm not feeling it with him, and it never was.
So every play he has a panic attack, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why they're not I don't think they're doing very well.
He plays like he has
Panic
explosive vest on.
Yes. Where do I go? Where do I go? So just the other day, somebody zoomed in at the stadium and took a picture of Colin Kapernick sitting down while the national anthem was playing.
On the bench next to the Gatorade jugs and all that kind of stuff. Everybody else in the entire field is standing up, all facing in the same direction, presumably the American flag. Almost all of them, their hands on their heart. And there's some guy sitting down. Clearly he's crippled, right? He's got broken legs or something? Or
No, he's the $1 million quarterback. Multi-million-dollar quarterback. Somebody put up a picture of him with two older white folks.
Right.
That's his parents. That's who raised him.
Okay.
Apparently he was biracial and then adopted by...
I was going to say, he has a definitely tan skin. I'm not sure. Like, if he's black, he's very, very light-skinned. Very, very light-skinned. But I don't know. I mean, I couldn't tell. He's got this beard going, and now I hear that he's Islam, a Muslim.
Okay,
I didn't know if he's Middle Eastern or what. I don't know.
Well, there's a woman that he started dating, and apparently, I'm not sure if they're married yet or not, but she is of Islam.
Okay.
Muslim Brotherhood.
And the reason I'm asking all this, I'm not trying to categorize anybody or label them or anything like that, but I'm all about culture. And I feel like if you know what somebody's culture is that they grew up in, you can make some presumptions on that because that's the way they were brought up. That's the kind of things that they would believe in.
And we talk about like Obama and Hillary being raised up in a communist family.
Oh, right.
Being taught all about the beautiful things of communism.
Right.
And how they must...
that's part of the culture.
By hook or by crook, we need to install that in this country because they don't know no better.
Right.
So communism is a way of life. So when you think of Hillary, or specifically Obama...
Because he was a red diaper baby,
which
absolutely. Is very well known. His mother, his father was not a part of his life, or whichever one we...
His male mentor, at the very least, Frank Marshall Davis.
He was a card-carrying member of Communist USA.
And
Communist Party USA.
And a friend to the dad of Loretta Lynch.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Best good buddies in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
And now his mother was a card-carrying communist member.
Correct.
And his maternal grandfather is a card-carrying member of the Communist USA Party. And so it's important to know these kind of things about a person's background, and you can make some assumptions based on that.
And if they're telling you they've changed, and they say, this is why I've changed, like
right.
Michael Medved.
Well, me. I'm a perfect
right.
example. I grew up in an atheist household. Father, pretty much an atheist engineer. Mom is I would consider my mom an agnostic, non-religious person. She just wasn't. She wasn't raised to be atheist. She wasn't raised to be religious. She didn't never go to church that I ever knew of, and she just was an agnostic, non-religious person. And that's what I grew up in. And it took until I was about 25 years old to start to figure out that some things were wrong with my belief system.
Right.
And I had the, born-again experience and all that kind of stuff. So
right.
I'm a good example.
Right. And like I was saying, the radio talk show host, his name's Michael Medved. He literally has a conservative talk show and a #1 bestseller called Turning Right. Or
okay.
Right Turns.
Right Turns.
Right Turns.
Yeah.
And that book is all about him, his Jewish culture, his heritage, his whole upbringing, his whole life. And he's like, hey, I got to make a right turn here. I got to stop being left.
There you go.
So if somebody tells you that then I can see where they're coming from. However,
so about this Colin Kapernick. So he sits during the national anthem, which I'm going to tell you right now, that is a very, very when you do it, it's such a loud statement. Because think of all the events you've ever been to where they play the national anthem and everybody stands up. For you to not stand up for whatever reason, especially if it's blatantly obvious that you're doing it intentionally,
right?
That's a loud statement, really. I mean, could you imagine saying, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and sit here as a member of the audience?
John Kasich. Oh, you're having the convention in Ohio, my state? Yeah, I'm going to skip that.
I'm going to go ahead and sit that out.
I'm going to sit that one out.
But you're going to be in the city that day. I just can't fit it into my schedule.
No, I got a wine and cheese tasting down on the burning river.
Oh, wow.
Cleveland. God bless them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that's loud and clear. You couldn't be more loud, more clear than that.
Right.
Just, I mean, even the left, as much as they hate America and as much as they hate what it is, I can't remember the last time a lefty ever did that.
I almost feel like it's unprecedented when it comes to this kind of stuff. I mean, there's been things in the past, like the Black Panther that was in the Olympics many, many years. I guess it was the 70s, and he got on the podium and he put the leather glove on and then held the fist up in the air while the national anthem played. That was a loud statement.
Okay.
Very loud statement.
So you're going all the way back to the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, when else has such a big public figure done something during the national anthem that was so provocative, right?
Well, disrespectful to the entire nation.
So there's this big firestorm, and this is very disappointing. My dad actually pointed this out. He said yesterday he was hanging out with a whole bunch of friends, and they started talking about the Kaepernick situation. And he said virtually every single person that was in the discussion said that they support his right to the freedom of speech to do that. Now, by the way, I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Okay.
The NFL came out and they made their statement, and their statement is, we respect his right to the freedom of speech to do this. I came out on Twitter with some very popular tweets. And no, they were popular.
Okay.
A lot of likes, a lot of retweets, and a lot of people supporting it. I said that the NFL should feel bad about doing that, about not doing anything in response to that, because they should be able to tell him.
Oh,
that
and they
he can't do that.
Well, they do. They also told the one of the teams that you could not, you cannot wear the Police Lives Matter badges. You couldn't do any of that stuff at all. They wanted to honor the police department. They wanted to honor the fallen heroes, and they were told by the NFL. They said, no, you are not allowed to wear the Black Lives Matter. The Cop Lives. Did I say black? Cop Lives Matter. The football team wanted to wear the Cop Lives Matter, like the blue line. Mm-hmm. They wanted to put that on their jersey to support the police department. NFL said, no, negative ghostwriter, you cannot.
So there was another situation. Didn't somebody wear a Black Lives Matter thing? Or they did the hands up, don't shoot. They walked out onto the field with their hands up.
But that's acceptable.
They accepted that, and also one of their players posted a Facebook picture of a man decapitating a cop. This was an NFL player that did this. Posted a picture of a cop being decapitated. It was an artist rendition.
Oh, right. Well, and then Andrea just reminded me. I forgot all about this. The whole Beyonce halftime disrespect.
Oh well, okay. So Beyonce came out in like a uniform-looking thing, and all of her dancers were all dressed in the same uniform. And nobody knew the difference, and the song was a nice song, and nobody really paid attention to the lyrics. And it wasn't until after the halftime show was over that people started talking about what this show was about. In hindsight, come to find out, not only was she dressed in, I guess you would call it traditional Black Panther wear,
Right.
Like a uniform that's
1970s garb.
like the style of the Black Panthers, but also the lyrics.
Her song, yes.
Yeah, the lyrics of the song were very Black Panther type, lyrics and all that kind of stuff, and they were okay with that.
And this is at one of the
Super
heights.
Bowl.
Yeah,
the Super Bowl.
And it goes in lockstep with this administration being divisive and racist and continuing to divide Americans.
Well, no, but we're talking about the NFL here.
I know the NFL is helping
The NFL
to divide Americans.
Yeah, the NFL is a bunch of unpatriotic, anti-American people, and I'm just going by the volume of all of the body of their work, which is turning a blind eye to all this stuff. Now, for all of you, I got called a hypocrite on Twitter for acting like I'm so American and I'm so pro-Constitution and I'm so pro-Bill of Rights, and yet I'm going to sit here and say that he shouldn't be allowed to exercise his First Amendment right to behave in an unpatriotic manner. Now, here's where everybody's getting it wrong, and it's important that I spell this out for you, because even people that are angry about this are getting the First Amendment and all the Bill of Rights all wrong. This is what everybody's getting wrong, and I want you guys to understand this so you can articulate this from here on out on Twitter, on Facebook, and wherever. The Bill of Rights only guarantees that the government cannot criminally charge you with a crime if you do something that would be covered under the freedom of speech or freedom of religion, freedom of press, those are all First Amendment things, or bear arms and all the other things that are in the Bill of Rights. That's all that you're guaranteed. The NFL is not a government organization, and they cannot arrest you. Okay? So the NFL is not obligated to make sure that you are afforded your right to exercise your freedom of speech during an NFL game.
Just like when you're on the job. Why can't I tell my boss to go beep yourself and not get fired?
What if your
speech.
boss was a black guy and you called him the N-word?
And you got fired.
And you said, no.
It's my freedom.
You cannot fire me because I can say whatever I want, and even the N-word is protected under the Bill of Rights, and you're a hypocrite and you're anti-American if you fire me. That's what people are throwing around on Twitter. No. It's only protecting you from being arrested, charged, end up with a criminal record, jailed, all that stuff. That's the only thing you're protected from. The NFL not only is allowed to punish you either with sanctions or firing you or maybe reduced playing time or maybe suspension temporarily or permanently. Not only are they allowed to do that, but I feel that they're obligated to do that to you. And if they fail to do this, I believe that they're anti-American, because what you're doing, what Colin's doing, is unpatriotic. It's un-American. And for the NFL to let them get away with them on the NFL stage is condoning it. And if they're going to condone it, then they're also unpatriotic and un-American. And that's my stance, and I'm right, because those are the facts. You're only protected under the Bill of Rights from criminal charges.
Okay, here's where here's where those people are going wrong and why they're going wrong. I just had a thought.
Okay.
They're being taught in school that literally businesses and the government are literally
I believe that
one and the same.
I believed that when I was a kid.
So that when they turn 18 and 19 and they go to their first job, no, I got freedom of speech. You're like, whoa. Where did you learn
hear about
this?
the interns?
No,
there were interns. Now, for those of you that have gone through college and you've gone through either a co-op or an internship or something like that while you're in college, a bunch of interns went to this big, huge corporation, And we're told, now these are like 19, 20, 21-year-olds that are in this internship. We're told there's a dress code here. And we're told they must adhere to the dress code. And all the interns, being all hip and cool millennials, were like, man, this dress code sucks. All right?
Right.
Okay? And so they all decided, hey, let's band together and let's write the company, this giant, large corporation, a letter saying that we're going to band together and we demand to dress how we want and we reject your dress code. You know what the company did? It said, you know what? We're not paying you. We don't expect any productivity out of you guys. You're here to learn the industry. You guys have become a headache to us. You're all fired.
Go home and don't come back.
You know what they did? They were shocked. They couldn't believe. They could not believe that this could happen to them in the United States of America.
Amazing. It's because of what they're being taught. Just like Kapernick, apparently what he has been taught.
But here's the thing about him, though. He might as well do it because he works for a company that's condoning that behavior.
Okay. Here's his statement.
Uh-oh. He's got a statement?
Yeah, here was his statement. A quote, this is from Kapernick himself, quote, "I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street, and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder.
Who?
I'm not looking for approval, and I only wanted to stand up for people that are oppressed."
Who are we talking about that are bodies in the street? Is he talking about all the bodies in the street of Chicago who are largely killed in black-on-black crime incidences? Who is he protesting against?
Well, that's funny that you mention that because this happened just before the DNC. Larry Elder, who was an incredible talk show host out of Los Angeles, he was on with Varney and company, and they were talking about this exact same thing on the run up to the DNC because of who the DNC was going to allow to speak. And this is what Larry Elder espouses all the time: the statistics, Chicago, black on black, and cop lives. And this is what he had to say on the whole matter.
And it bothers me because all this Black Lives Matter stuff, and with all due respect to Mrs. Brown, I know she lost her son, but for crying out loud, the evidence shows that he rushed Officer Darren Wilson.
Yes.
He was exonerated by the grand jury, by the DOJ. And in the last 45 years, Stu, police shootings against blacks are down 75%.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
What did you hear that?
Is he lying? He may be lying.
I just paused that. He is the king of stats when it comes to this because, I don't know if you can tell, but he is a black man in Los Angeles and hated by black people because...
He's been called an Uncle Tom and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Because of this. Did you hear that? It's down 75%. I'm shocked.
I didn't know that.
Right.
Well, you would never know that based on the propaganda we're getting from the mainstream media.
All right, here's some of the other numbers.
Twice as many whites are shot by the police, and there was just a study done by a black Harvard economist who said the police are more reluctant to pull the trigger against a black person, less reluctant to pull the trigger against a white person. So the whole thing is built upon a foundation of lies. All of these people, whether it was Eric Brown, Eric Gardner, or Tamir Rice, or Michael Brown, or Trayvon Martin, virtually all of them would be alive had they complied. Whatever happened to comply, you won't die.
Well, why am I a bad guy if I say all lives matter, encompassing everybody? Why am I looked upon as some kind of bigot for saying that? Why?
Or why am I an Uncle Tom for saying it?
Right.
I agree with you. All lives do matter. And by the way, the police rarely shoot people. There are 330 million Americans in this country.
Okay, 330 million Americans. That's a lot. 330 million.
With 6, 7, 8 zeros behind it.
Right. Okay.
Last year, 965 people got shot and killed by the
900. Didn't even break 1,000.
That's a 9 with 2 zeros.
Right. Didn't even break 1,000. Here we go. It's going to blow your mind.
police. By contrast, 400 people were injured by lightning. It is
holy! I did not. So you're barely twice as likely to get killed by a cop than you are being struck by lightning?
So if you're injured by lightning, be careful. 2 cops are coming for you.
Oh, my God. I love the way you massage those stats.
rare for the police to shoot anybody, let alone an unarmed black person. Out of the 965, less than 4% were a white cop shooting an unarmed black person.
Do that real quick in your head. 965, 4% of 960. Well, 10% of 965 is 96.
Yeah.
So half of that, you know,
50.
Right. Just say 50. So just less than 50. So 45 people out of the 956, 45 of them were black perps shot by a white cop.
Are you sure? Because sometimes they call it
Asian cops.
Well,
it looks Asian.
Sometimes black, like 100% slave ancestry black cops are being targeted or by the media for shooting an unarmed black person too. So it doesn't even matter what color you are. If you're wearing blue,
this is true.
If you're wearing blue, you're going to get blowed up by the media if you end up killing an unarmed black teen.
Right.
But they always call them teens.
Right.
And then they show pictures of them from when they were 12 years old.
And now he's 19 and he weighs 325 pounds.
Well, they did it with Trayvon Martin. They had these boyhood pictures of Trayvon Martin.
I know.
He was only 19.
Well, they did the Gentle Giant like that too.
Yeah,
that's why he got the name the Gentle Giant.
Right. He's not very gentle.
So
he was attacking the cop.
So 45 out of the 956 that died from police shootings, 45 were black people who died, black Americans that died at the hand of a white cop.
Okay.
4%.
It almost never happens. By contrast, nearly half of the homicides in this country are committed by and against black people, most often young black people who are being killed by their other peers. We ought to be talking about that. In Chicago alone, we're on track for 700 homicides. About 70% of them are going to be black on black, and 75% of those, Stu, are unsolved.
So in Chicago, for the year, Chicago is on track for the year 750 homicides versus cop killings of 950 total.
In the whole country.
In the whole country.
So just that little one city.
Chi-town, folks.
Just a city in the whole country is on is going to be right
Could tie.
Yeah.
Good tie.
700 homicides this year.
On track for the
entire year.
Yeah, for Chicago. Yeah,
right,
just last weekend, about 45 people were shot.
45 people in one weekend?
In one weekend.
This is a war zone.
Oh yeah. Well, here are a couple other stats. This is from Milo. Milo took to the waves, made a little stand-up video, and he started rambling off stats. Here's I just had to write this down because this blew my mind. At the current rate of cops killing black people, at the current rate, the cops would have to continue the current rate for 40 years to equal the number of black-on-black murders in 1 year.
So 40 years of that before they can
equal black-on-black murder
clearly
in 1 year.
Milo is a racist.
People are killed, and then the whole thing. People are killed by cops at less than the rate of getting struck, injured by lightning, not dead by lightning, just hit by it, and you live. You know.
Oh wow, live or die. So any strike whatsoever,
any encounter with lightning, and
what about if I see lightning?
See, now you're getting misogynistic. You're massaging those numbers.
Yeah, the numbers would be much higher if you get there. But wow, so here's the thing, too. When you talk about the number of black-on-black crime in these urban neighborhoods, even, not just in Chi-Town, but, the violence is taking an uptick just about everywhere across the nation. I believe, and I think that I would be able to find stats to prove this, and I think anecdotal evidence would have a lot of listeners agree with me, that there isn't a coincidence that the extremely high unemployment rate, particularly with African Americans, and particularly with young African Americans, is a correlation between that and the uptick in crime. Why? Because there's nothing to do all day. And I think that, boredom would probably there's two things. There could be just boredom ends up causing people to get together and drama will ensue. But also, if you can't get a job the traditional route because of the really high minimum wage type stuff, which you see in some cities nowadays, or because of regulations that force businesses to cut back on employment and all that kind of stuff, what do? You end up finding work somewhere, and a lot of that ends up being illegal activities such as dealing drugs and all that.
If you don't have skills, and that's what's damaging right now. The world that we live in right now, 2016, 2017, there is an entire generation, 7 years of kids who were raised during Obama, and that's all they've ever really known. I mean, if they're teenagers in their 20s right now, they heard about Bush, but it wasn't significant.
They were only 12 when...
Right.
Yeah, if you're 20, you were only 12 when Obama took over.
Right, so it's insignificant that Bush, but if you're 15 when Obama took over, you're 22 now, and that whole gap, that generation right there, the most unskilled, unprepared generation for society. They can't find a job, so that first job I had at 15, it was a part-time thing. It was called Rent-A-Kid.
Okay.
And these
sounds like something might be illegal there.
Well, it did have to do with Hollywood. And,
were you... Wow.
That
sounds bad.
Slipped on some awesome stuff.
Might need Oprah for this interview.
Maybe in a box of tissue. No, but... your parents would be in contact with this organization that you would be rented to. The lady I did work for, she was an older widow. I'd cut her grass and paint her garage and stuff like that. Do little odds and ends, and then I would get paid for that. That was at 15, so I kind of started to learn what money meant at 15
and how work is translated into money.
16, had my first full-time job working. You were allowed to, by law back then, I was allowed to work 40 hours a week and go to school back then. Mm-hmm. And no, you ain't allowed to.
No.
That ain't legal.
No, even when I was 16, I'm just a couple years younger than you. I mean, we were limited to the amount of hours you could have in a week until you turned 18. So like that 16 to 18 child labor laws were getting more
But I
strict.
started to really learn what money was all about, and I bought my first car. It was a 1968 muscle car. It was a 68 Cougar, bright cherry red, and I just loved it. My whole life was my car, my job, and then at 17 and almost 18, like a month before I turned 18, I lied to the landlord and I got my own apartment.
Okay.
At 18.
How old were you supposed to be?
Usually to make a contract like that is 18.
Okay.
I would assume.
But you were 18.
I was a few months before turning 18.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So, but some of these kids I talk to now...
oh, my gosh. They're staying in their parents' basement until they're like 27, 28. Some of them in their like late 20s, early 30s, who they've gone and moved out. They lived away, and they're just like, you know what? I'm done with this. And they're coming back after having left.
And don't get me wrong. Life is hard. Life is really hard. And if you let it get you down, it will. But you got to fight the good fight and move forward. So anyways, this whole generational thing that's coming up, they're listening to Kapernick, who's a knucklehead, just despicable. They've been listening to the Obama race war that he's waged on America for the last 7 years. I'm so done. I'm so tired of it.
We're all done with it. And you know what? We're going to see the results of that this November. You're going to see, I think the numbers are going to show that we didn't chicken out. We didn't get intimidated like the Tea Party did back in, 2010 maybe?
Right.
Around 2010 is when they were at their very strongest, and then they got shut down by false accusations of racism. And it scared everybody. People are like, oh, I have a 9-to-5 job for a big company. If they find out I'm associated with an organization that's been successfully labeled racist, this is going to not look good at work. I could get fired. I could have, I could create people getting upset at work, finding out that I'm involved with the Tea Party. They're going to think I'm a racist. I don't want anybody to think I'm a racist. And This is literally exactly what happened, and it completely destroyed the Tea Party. And it didn't help that cowardly Glenn Beck, the biggest coward that's in media today, the biggest coward, was like, whoa, I cannot be associated with this organization anymore, and you shouldn't either. He pretty much shut it down himself. And by the way, he's like the godfather founder.
It's like the Million Man March, but it was the Tea Party march on Washington.
Yeah, he's the one that did that because he was the one that was largely responsible for the movement.
Right.
And then he shut it down by going along with the cowardice. And those same people that did go along and say, whoa, you're right, Glenn. We need to tone this down, and we need to kind of lay low. We need to go back into the woodworks. We need to become the silent majority again. Those same people are now like, wow, we lost all of our power, and now look who took over in our place.
Right.
It's a joke. It's dangerous. It's throwing our country away. It's throwing the Constitution away. We want it back, and this time we're not going to let you get away with the false allegations of racism. So now, every single time, they're going to the same well, aren't they?
The identical well. Trump pointed it out, and I'm telling you, when was the last time? I know social media wasn't as popular as it is today, but the last time you saw just plain Americans, white Americans, Hispanic Americans coming out and screaming, "I'm not a racist, and you better back the bleep off."
And they should.
So check this out. And this is all on Facebook. These are really – the last soundbite that I played for you, very, very popular video with a huge amount of followers. He put up that the white privilege little rant. And now this other one, Mac Tell, who's got a huge following as well. This is his little rant, this less than a minute rant, on Kaepernick and how he feels about this whole white privilege.
So Colin Kaepernick decided not to stand for the national anthem today. No big deal, right? It's just the national anthem. What pisses me off is his comment afterwards saying, I am not going to praise a flag for a country that oppresses people of color. People of color. Well, I would assume that Colin is a black man and a professional football player who makes more money than I could ever dream of. So by saying that, I would say this country's done quite well for you, and it deserves a bit of thanks for your ungrateful ass. I would also like to point out that men and women of color all over the United States have been given choices, and the people that have chosen correctly have benefited tremendously. So, on that note, I would like to say f*** you, Colin Kaepernick. Come to think of it, I'll have a Heineken.
Brought to you by Heineken.
And f*** you again.
That was the greatest beer ad I've ever heard in my life.
So we need to learn how to incorporate.
I want to hear. I want to. Did that have a video associated with it?
Oh yes.
Okay. I want to see that as an ad on the Super Bowl.
And guess what hat he's wearing? San Francisco 49ers hat. He had a cap. He also did another video that went viral. He took Kaepernick's jersey that he owned, hung it up outside, lit it on fire, stood back from it, and started to say sing the national anthem.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a statement right there.
They burnt it.
Wow. Here's the thing. I'm going to continue to rail against the NFL, and every single time I do it in a tweet, it's going to include the handle at NFL so that they keep getting it. And I might even try to find the 49er Twitter handle and throw them in there too, just to make sure that they know, and try to spread the discontent with them as much as possible until they either renounce it, denounce it, or punish him in some way, because it's ridiculous. And by the way, I'm not going to watch a single 49ers game. If they're playing the Bengals, which is our team, I'm not going to watch it. If they're in the playoffs, I'm not going to watch it. And if this trend continues, which it's a trend, if you go back to the hands up, don't shoot, and you go back to them not doing anything about the guy having a cartoon decapitating a cop, and then you got this situation. It's not just the 49ers. It's the entire NFL. Like I said, the NFL has to be obligated to say and do something in opposition to this, and to punish him in a way monetarily. And the fact that they're not, I mean, I'm very close to just throwing. I threw away cable. I'm done with cable. I could be done with the NFL too.
Well, and my situation here.
Why? Because I'm a patriotic American. And if the NFL is going to be an unpatriotic, anti-American establishment, then I'm done with them.
I don't need to feed them my money. Correct.
I could go to my local high school games. LaSalle High School is very patriotic, loaded with all kinds of conservative parents, families, great kids.
Christian.
It's a
Catholic
school. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
My situation here, a few years back, my daughters were watching TV, and we'd put it on the family channel, and they could watch a cartoon or whatever the show was going on, and we'd monitor it closely. We had cable, and then all of a sudden there was a commercial for a show that's going to air later on that night on the family channel, and the commercial for the show was a family dealing with the Bruce Jenner change, and the dad dressed up in a dress and lipstick, and the son hugged him and they cried, and they said it's okay, and the daughter came in, it's okay, Dad, we know who you are, all in on the family channel. Shut it down. Gone. I haven't had cable in years.
Right.
We got the Netflix.
You had a little panic attack when
internet.
you first got it, but I had already shut it down a long time ago.
Right.
And I told you, calm down, relax, trust me. After about a month, at first it's going to be tough. After about 1 month, you're going to find that it's not as bad as you thought, and you're going to get used to the fact that you don't have 2,000 completely useless channels that you never watch. Only, 5 of them you ever watch anyway.
Well, and something else that I just very, very disturbing, because I have daughters. They're 8 and 7 now, and then a 2-year-old son. But if you scroll back 5 years ago, they were, 3 and, whatnot. If you scrolled accidentally through the channels, you get to the adult channels in the pay-per-view, and you're like, well, they don't read. And they didn't read.
Right.
Oh, no. Now?
They can read.
Well, before that, now, pay-per-view, they have icons, pictures of what that show is.
Oh, no.
Yes!
That's not good.
No!
So you can't escape the actual graphic.
So I blew them up on the cable, and they're like, well, you can undo that. You can cut. I said, you know what? It's a crying shame that you even allowed that to be viewable.
By default.
By default, that's viewable. So I said, get it out. Get it out of here. I'm done with it.
But before that, though, when you go to the guide, you were telling me this story, that if you go to the guide, the actual description or the name of the show is on the guide. Now, when your kids are too young to be able to read, that's fine. But when they're like 8 and 9 and they're able to read, some of the actual names of the adult shows, which were viewable when you go to the guide, were not for children.
These were some of the most despicable. I mean, this is something that you might find on the deep, dark web of the net somewhere.
Places where you shouldn't be going.
You're correct. I mean, this is just some really backwoods in the hills.
And it would include words and phrases that children should not be reading whatsoever.
No, and they're like, "What, Daddy? Why is that say?" I'm like,
Yeah. So then there's no way to get rid of that. You actually called him and said, "Why does it say that?"
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Pull the plug on all of it.
Pull the plug on it.
All right. Well, we tapped on Kaepernick there for a minute, but
And you know what? That's the big. That's getting a lot of traction as far as a debate is concerned.
Right.
I'm really surprised that there's so many conservatives, Trump supporters, and those types of people. Liberals, I understand. Liberals hate America. They're actively trying to take down America, and they're doing it by trying to take down the Bill of Rights. So it's kind of hypocritical that they're so First Amendment all of a sudden. So First Amendment is good as long as it trashes America. I understand that. But there's a lot of people that say they're going to vote for Trump or say that they're conservative or that they're Republican. They're like, whoa, 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 whoa. We have to allow Kaepernick and people like him to exercise their freedom to trash America. No. I'm not advocating that somebody go to their house and put handcuffs on them and give them a court date to appear in front of the Gestapo. I'm not advocating for that.
No, of course not.
Therefore, I'm not saying that they don't have the right to say that. But everybody should know that we also have the right and the duty, our patriotic duty, to exercise our First Amendment rights if you're on the board of the NFL to say, we're not going to accept this. And we are going to we're going to come out with a rule saying you cannot do this. When you're on TV or you're on the field in uniform, you can't behave this way. And if you do, you will get punished, and here's your list of punishments. Right. So do what you will, but this is what you will get punished for.
Because they have strict rules on and guidelines on what you're allowed to wear, what you're not allowed to wear, what types of gloves you can wear, what types of shoes you can wear.
Quit.
Right.
Yeah. And you're not going to go to jail. That's the only thing the First Amendment
required safety gear, mandatory safety. If you choose, I don't like this helmet, it hurts my head, I don't want to wear it.
What if you just what if you here's a good one. This is a good example. What if you just decide you want to wear a rainbow colored uniform for the game, the actual game?
No, you can't.
Total rainbow color all the way from head to toe because you want to express your support of the LGBTQ ABCDEFGHIJK LMNOP community.
XXX. Triple X.
And your First Amendment in the Constitution suddenly guarantees you the right to show up to a game in a rainbow-colored uniform.
No.
Of course not. And the NFL is suddenly going to be a hypocrite for not allowing you to wear that garbage?
Oh, they better allow me to do it now. After this?
It's the same thing.
Right. So I'm wondering, and we talked about this earlier this week, some of these occurrences are happening so close to each other. Do you think that any of this stuff is coordinated? Like earlier this week, Clinton out in her speech saying that Trump's KKK, anybody who listens to Breitbart or reads Breitbart News, which is about 30 million Americans, you're racist, you're bigots. I mean, just her entire alt-right speech was a hate speech against a lot of Americans.
Right.
Like alien. When have you ever seen Trump alienate an entire section?
Didn't you say
of America?
30 million? 30 million people were alienated or attacked?
Yeah, like 31 million people.
Well, what they're trying to do is this. Maybe 31 million people could have or would have been lumped into the alt-right label. What she's trying to do is to take those 31 million people and say, you don't want to be associated with this. They jump out because they're like, whoa. We're not racist. We're not white supremacists like what they're trying to label alt-right to be. So we're not a part of that movement. And then say that's the Trump support after everybody had jumped out of the alt-right label.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden you got all these people like, well, I already said I wasn't alt-right. And you're saying that only alt-right people like Trump? Oh, well, I guess nobody likes Trump.
Right, there you go.
That's what they're trying to do. It's not going to work, though. I think a lot of people that considered themselves alt-right before this, that obviously are not racist, are like, no, we're not putting up with that crap.
You know why it's not going to work? It's because this soundbite is being looped all over the net, all over the world.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
Oh, so painful. What about
I had to turn that down.
The hot sauce in the handbag one was really bad.
I mean, she literally. There was some. I was talking with one of our listeners, Melissa, and she called in. We had a conversation, and she said to me, she said, Hillary Clinton doesn't carry a handbag.
I was going to say, I don't ever remember having a handbag.
Well, women are into handbags, and you know a woman who carries a handbag if she carries one.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be visible.
Hillary never carries one, unlike Margaret Thatcher, who was notorious for her handbags. And even one story goes that Parliament assembled in a closed-door meeting with her, and they all sat around at this table, and the only thing at the head of the table was her handbag.
It's like the iconic thing.
But not her.
What?
No, she hadn't arrived yet.
Well, why didn't she have her handbag on her?
Dude, they did it on purpose to show them that she commanded even with her handbag.
Her handbag was in charge.
Yes! but it's the whole iconic thing. Like
Right.
Abraham Lincoln's hat. Was it
true.
a baseball hat? A turnaround backwards baseball hat?
No.
No, of course not, you know?
He's the one that coined the phrase, never believe everything you read on the internet.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So, but she does not ever have a handbag, ever.
I was going to say, I don't remember in all the pictures, not only does she not have it on her persons, but it's not like she has it next to the podium or nothing like that. I feel like, and I didn't see it in the interview either, because the interview usually only has short little clips. But did she just bring a handbag just for that interview?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we'll put some hot sauce in your handbag, and then that way you could bring that up.
Right. Something that came up about hot sauce, and he's like, "Oh, come on, woman, you're not into hot sauce." She's like, "I ain't no ways to." No,
they did not even bring up hot sauce. They said something about connecting with the black community, blah blah, and she brought up, "Oh, you want to talk about connecting? You know what I got in my handbag?" And they're like, "What? Hot sauce." And then they lost it because they knew it was the fakest thing they've ever heard.
Right, and he even looked at Hillary and he said to her, "What are you?
This is going to be viewed by the black community as pandering."
Pandering, and she's like, "Ha ha ha ha! Is it working?"
Okay,
she said, "Ha ha ha ha! Is it working?"
Okay, the audio does not do it justice, and let me explain why the audio does not do it justice. In the video, you can see her reaction when the one of the DJs said, this is going to be viewed by the African American community as being pandering. Her reaction to that statement was priceless. She was angry that she was outed. That was her reaction. And then that's when she has the fake laugh because she realized, "Oh, I'm outed. I've just got outed." And then she decided, what should I say? And she awkwardly, it was clear in her body language that it was very awkward. Is it working?
She has no control, does she?
She has no...
she's got no filter.
No people skills. No. It's just really bad. We know she's a sociopath. And that's one of the symptoms of being a sociopath is that you can't really empathize with people. That's why she said, "We came, we saw, he's dead." And she thought that was hilarious. Somebody died and was drugged through the streets and put into a freezer and tortured.
She's talking about Muammar Gaddafi.
Yes. And she was so callous in the way she was talking about somebody that died. And then you got what difference does it make anyway with regards to another guy that was brutally tortured before being murdered in Libya, Ambassador Stevens.
Raped by Muslim, Islamic.
Well, you could see how
men.
Beat up his face was.
Oh,
that he was tortured bad before finally was taken out of his misery.
I mean, God bless it to be able to get away from that. I mean,
and so she's a sociopath. She's very callous. That's what. All the people that have come up as in body bags.
Right.
Does it seem that surprising when you consider her callousness and her lack of empathy for humanity? And this is somebody that might be in charge. She will be in charge of decisions that either cost or save lives.
She will have the codes to the nuclear launch weapons. She'll have the codes. Like her husband had the codes and he lost them. Lost the codes, misplaced them.
And I don't want to be that guy that's like, she's going to start World War III. I don't really think that that's as much of a danger.
I'm just saying she's incompetent.
People will die. People will die. And it may not be nuclear holocaust. And I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction that if she were to win this, which would be, I'm going to lose all faith in all of humanity.
Yeah.
I predict that there's not going to be a nuclear holocaust under President Clinton. I just don't believe that that's going to happen. However, there's going to be massive amounts of unnecessary
carnage,
suffering.
Yeah, there'll be
suffering for sure.
The collateral damage. Her being president will cause collateral damage. So here's her awkwardness this week when she was trying to blast 31 million viewers of Breitbart and blast Milo all at the same time. She literally put Breitbart gave Breitbart News the credit that it finally deserves.
Yes.
As the quintessential honest journalism and reporting the news.
Last bastion of journalism.
Correct. And there was an article they wrote about Andrew Breitbart, God rest his soul, passed away in 2012. If he could see this today.
Suspiciously.
If he could see this today, what he had wrought 10, 12 years later, just amazing. So here's Hillary's failed attempt at bashing Breitbart in her alt-right speech. Listen to the crowd respond to her.
He hired Stephen Bannon, the head of a right-wing website called Breitbart.com, as the campaign CEO. Now, to give you a flavor of his work, here are a few headlines they've published. And I'm not making this up. Birth control makes women unattractive and crazy.
They laughed.
They laughed because
it's funny.
Dude, if you've
It's trollicious.
It's trollicious. And if you've ever seen out in LA, it's very, very, very common, a woman in her late 30s, no children, never been married, on birth control, and she's like 33, 34, 35.
Mm-hmm.
A little rough.
So
a little angry.
You're saying there might be some truth there.
Might be a little
anecdotal. No scientific study's been done, I don't think, but okay.
Not yet.
Would you rather your child had feminism or cancer?
They just groaned.
Okay, out of that statement, that was from Milo. And then he wrote that. Out of that statement, trended, feminism is cancer.
That's right. I remember that. Yep.
Gabby Giffords, the gun control movement's human shield.
I'll have to read that article because I'm not sure what that meant.
Okay. The gun control movement, their shield to protect themselves from us, the Second Amendment people. Mm-hmm. They put Gabby Giffords out there front and center as their...
Oh, after the fact.
Yeah.
Because when I heard when I read that, I'm thinking, wait a minute. Okay, so when she got shot by somebody, and she's the human. I don't get it. Like I was thinking the actual event.
After she got healthy again.
Okay.
And so
now it makes more sense.
They courted her out, and she did the showcase all around.
Yeah.
And her husband actually went and bought AK-47 or AR-15. Mm-hmm. Her husband actually bought one.
Okay.
And they caught him on security surveillance, and they posted it.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. I was doing this for research to see how easy it was to get one.
That's like WEBN. Their DJs get on and the adult websites like, no, it's research. They always say that. It's research. I need to research.
That's why I can't listen to that guy anymore. I hate that morning show.
That's the our local cool rock station, I guess you could say.
I guess. All right.
Yeah.
So you've got that. Don't forget about Robert KKK Byrd. I mean, Robert Byrd was a Klansman, and his picture in his garb, his white dragon uniform, all over the internet. Very good friends and a mentor of Hillary Clinton. So it's not like she hasn't. It's not like she hasn't been in the media somewhere somehow. Right there.
Oh, is it backwards?
Oh, I wouldn't hear anything. I'll just leave it up. So she's definitely has tight ties to the KKK, the Klansman, who was a Senator, Robert Byrd. And I don't know, senator all the way up until he was in his 90s. So, to call Trump a racist, it's just insanity. He's never been called a racist his entire life. Matter of fact, when Rosa Parks was still alive, he was a younger man. He did some events with Rosa Parks and Cassius Clay before he turned Muhammad Ali. So, it just goes on and on. Back in the 90s, Hillary referred to black gangs and the children, referred to them as super predators, which is just, it's that social awkwardness that she has. It's just unbelievable. So Trump responded to all of this and to everything that she was saying, and it's quite amazing. I'll let him soundbite 3E. This Trump's response to Hillary Clinton and the whole racist rant of her alt-right speech that apparently failed.
So what does she do when she can't defend her record? That's right. She lies. He said it. She lies. And she smears. And she paints decent Americans, you, as racists. It's the oldest play in the Democratic playbook. When Democratic policies fail, they are left with only this one tired argument. You're racist, you're racist, you're racist. They keep saying it. You're racist.
One other thing, I just wanted to correct Trump, and I want to correct everybody out there in the mainstream media. It is not the Democratic Party. It is the Democrat Party. It's a democratic process to elect the president. However, it's a Democrat Party, but I digress. I'm slowly trying to help change that, make that a reality. Democrat Party. But nonetheless, what he's saying is right. And this is the first time in my lifetime I have ever seen very popular, outspoken people. Trump's famous. A famous person come out and literally denounce anyone referring to them as racist. I mean, for goodness sakes, when Mitt Romney was running, Obama accused him, Mitt Romney personally, of killing a man's wife. Literally, Mitt Romney killed a man, according to Obama. Mitt Romney never said a word. And we were so angry about it. We were like, man, come on. You need to be our voice. You need to be outspoken. You need to... Don't take that from them. So I'm going to tell you, it's probably been about 20 years, maybe even 25 years of Republicans just taking it. And the whole 8 years of Bush, and we've talked about this before, the whole 8 years of Bush's presidency, they had a policy, don't talk back, don't strike back, don't say anything. We're going to take the high road. And the entire time, all of us voters, all of us Republicans were like, man, stop letting them destroy you. Stop letting them say bad things about you. Or at least, at the very minimum, come out and say something about that. So, Trump is doing it. We played some of the sound bites earlier of other people doing it on Facebook, on Twitter. The whole "you're racist" thing is just way done and gone. Like, I don't see this grab and hold at all. and there's obviously there's a lot of backlash on it as well. There's a guy, James T. Harris. He has his own talk show, and he was on the Hannity show this week, and this is what he had to say about the whole Democrat Party and the black community in general, and what's become of that.
I agree with you, and I also have to say that these policies that have been in place for the better part of 50, 60 years have been detrimental to the black family particularly, and to the nation's families in general. And this is what is so brilliant about Donald Trump saying, what do you have to lose? Because it doesn't make a difference if you talk about the last 8 years or you talk about the last 50 years. These policies have been in place, and they have devastated our inner cities, and they have devastated our economy.
Bingo. That's absolutely what has happened. We've been saying this for years. Sean Hannity has been saying this for years. Larry Elder has been saying this for years, as well as Rush Limbaugh. The Democrat Party has literally obliterated the core nucleus of the family. It's completely destroyed what a family is. A mom, a dad, the children, you eat together at night, you have a meal together, you do this, you do that as a family, as a whole. 75% of children in the black community that are born, 75% are born out of wedlock. It's staggering, the amount of pregnancies out of wedlock. And in the city of New York, 50% of all women, black women that become pregnant, 50% abort that baby. If you don't want it, I mean, we're talking about infanticide. We're talking about a genocidal system in place that's far beyond any of the reaches of anything we've ever seen in history. I mean, it's just insane. And Hillary Clinton and the Democrat Party perpetuate this. They keep pushing this. They keep wanting. I mean, Hillary was on The View a few months ago, and she was questioned about abortion. When is it? How long can a woman carry a thing inside her before she can abort it? And literally, Hillary Clinton gave a gobbledygook answer and said in the end, that's just kind of how it goes. So up until the birthday, literally your birthday, your first day of birth, up until that day, she's good with abortion. And that's something else. Something else came up this week. Some of these. I love all you followers. We got some of the greatest audience members that I've ever seen. Very intelligent, very spot on, and you'll give me feedback and say, "Hey, I heard somebody say this," and once again, I get it again. A single issue not listener, but their friend said to them, I'm about abortion, and I vote for, if any candidate has anything to do with abortion, I will not vote for him. So I can't vote for Trump because he was pro-life at one time, or pro-choice at one time. Carrie and I both talk about this. When I was a kid, raised in the school system, I was pro-choice all up until I got married and decided to have kids. I was led to believe as a man, who am I to say? It's not my body. Who am I to tell a woman what to do? Which is wrong, because half of that is mine and half of that is hers. So together we made a decision to begin with. So to undo that decision, you would think that there'd be the both of you to make that decision as well. Anyways, I digress. So Donald Trump being pro-choice back in the day and having a change of ideology, having a paradigm shift, having his own children, and realizing what a shame that would be if I decided to abort Ivanka before she was born. I mean, what a loss to all of us. The leader that she is, the leader that she's become, and she's going to take over the Trump enterprise and do an absolute incredible job. She's very spot on, very intelligent. So How can you say that a man doesn't have a paradigm shift? When I had my first child, I had a paradigm shift. Completely different ideologies. I wanted to do this, and this. Okay, we've got to change things now that this is really real. So go back and tell your friends that say that, or people that you know that say that, well, he was for abortion and now he's not. Flip-flop. Look at him dead in the eye and say, I'm telling you right now, he's not for abortion, right? He's not for abortion. He's running on the platform of pro-choice. It's the platform he's running on. Hillary Clinton is running on the platform of death to a child up until its birth. You've got two choices, two clear choices. There's no third choice. There's no third party. There's no Johnson. There's no other third. There's nothing else. There's two clear choices. One is okay with death up until the birth. The other one is running on a platform that says pro-life. Okay? You just got to make sure that you get that out there. People forget. People don't understand. You just got to make that happen. Help them understand. That's the big thing. So, and then we were talking earlier about Breitbart News. Once again, New York Times came out this week and says Breitbart News has arrived. And this is part of the New York Times article. I'm a huge fan, huge supporter of Breitbart News. Not only do they write their own articles, but they also do a little bit of what Matt Drudge does, and they'll post articles from other news sites and either comment on them or just post them in general. Usually, if somebody like the New York Times, the Huffington Post, or the New York Post, some of the liberal outlets, if they write an article making fun of Breitbart will intentionally post that on their own website, which is pretty neat. A real tough skin. So this is what the New York Times writes about Breitbart. They say, the opinion news site, once a curiosity of the fringe right wing, is now an increasingly powerful voice and virtually rallying spot for millions of disaffected conservatives who propelled Donald J. Trump to the Republican nomination for president. Known for gleeful bashing of the old Republican establishment, that's probably why I liked him so much, Breitbart now finds itself at the center of the party's presidential campaign. Its longtime chairman, Stephen K. Bannon, was named campaign chief by Mr. Trump, whose nationalist, conspiracy-minded message routinely mirrors the Breitbart worldview. I don't know what conspiracy-minded message. Yeah, folks, I don't know what that's nonsense. It's one of those dog whistles to the left. It says, look, this is why you can't switch to Trump. He's conspiracy-minded. And so is Breitbart and the whole worldview. It's the boogeyman for the most part. Oh, gotta love the New York Times. And then Nigel, who helped to propel England and the Brexit to exit the EU, he showed up at a Trump rally with Trump and 10,000 plus strong crowd in the Coliseum at Jackson, Mississippi. And he told the entire crowd, put on your walking boots and become the people's army. Defend the U.S. political establishment, or defeat the U.S. political establishment. And that's something that Carrie and I have been doing here as well. Get involved in a local organization, a local conservative Republican organization that's pushing for Trump. Take some time, knock on doors, take some time, help pass out, the yard signs, maybe make phone calls. They've got some really neat software now to where you can stay at home and make phone calls on your cell phone through their system, through the internet. So I'd highly recommend getting involved, especially if you're looking for something to do and you want something to do, then that's certainly what you should be doing. And with the last few minutes remaining, I'm going to go through the whole Hillary Clinton scandal and just attempt to really give you an earful of what's going on. Okay. So as we start off with Hillary Clinton and the scandals this week, Cosmo calls Bill and Hillary Clinton good marriage role models. Yes. Yes, so that's how we start this off with Cosmopolitan calling Bill and Hillary good role models. Absolute insanity out there, folks. You can't make this up. Like, everybody knows. You just can't make this stuff up. So Julian Assange from WikiLeaks was on Fox and Friends, and he's calling for a September surprise. Julian Assange says that he still holds thousands of pages of Hillary Clinton emails that they're set to release. And he told Fox and Friends, he said, after the whole thing with Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigning, it has encouraged other people with information and material to come out and offer that material to us. So we now have thousands and thousands of pages. Fox and Friends asked him, said, so who are you being funded by? And what's all this? Aren't you obligated to protect or to do this or do that? And Julian says, no, we're a global organization. We're funded by the public, by the people, and we're also funded by the American public. And it's also tax-free in America if you donate to WikiLeaks, which is kudos for them, good for them. And he says that we're here for the people, for the public. Everything that I've seen WikiLeaks do so far, is expose bad people for who they are, for being even more worse, if you will. They said that the question was, will you publish the medical? Do you have any medical documents that you might publish on a candidate? And Julian went into saying that, if we did, if it was pertinent medical information, yeah, we'd publish it. But we've already published 32,000 Hillary emails, and many of them refer to her health. And that Hillary even refers to herself as saying, I have a cracked head. Yeah, in the emails, Hillary says, I have a cracked head. Boy, she's a weird one. So Julian Assange also said the most interesting thing about the whole Hillary thing is that she tried to run on experience. I found that kind of interesting that out of all the emails and all the information that's been put out there, this is the one thing that sticks in his head is being loony, is being crazy. And I agree with him. I agree with him 100%. There's no doubt about it that she is still attempting to run on her record, which you and I both know that there is no record. I mean, what is she talking about? 1,700 of the emails that WikiLeaks has released detail Libya and the Libyan mess, and we talked about that a little bit earlier in the show with Muammar Gaddafi and how Hillary Clinton literally destroyed the Libyan state, which, as a bad regime as it was, they did give up weapons of mass destruction to George Bush for the promise that we wouldn't bomb them or that we wouldn't start a war with them. Pretty much, Muammar Gaddafi, with the iron fist that he had Libya under control as far as we knew. Hillary Clinton goes into Libya, completely destabilizes the entire country of Libya, takes pictures, photo op pictures of the liberating army for Libya, which ironically happens to be Muslim terrorists. Hillary Clinton literally had a photo op with Muslim terrorists after toppling Libya. Look forward to today. Libya is a complete and absolute utter disaster. It was a huge vacuum that's now being filled by ISIS. ISIS has taken over, and it's just a huge breeding ground. The numbers, the death toll of this whole upheaval that Hillary caused in Libya is up over 300,000 dead Libyan bodies because of this whole insane, this whole reason. Like, she had to have a reason. Why did you go to Libya? Why did you do this? Something interesting that came up this week the Russia Today reported on Libya, and they gave kind of an expose or an idea of why they think that Libya was upended. And their whole thing was that Muammar Gaddafi started to band with other leaders around South Africa. And South Africa being an absolutely poor nation that has been run by dictators and despots, by warlords. Like in Nigeria, Hillary Clinton had a hand in on overthrowing the government in Nigeria and allowing the warlords to take over, and then was granted mineral rights and diamonds and things like that in Nigeria, so that, or oil as well, so that she could go into Nigeria and profit herself. So she's done that to Nigeria, and now she's doing this. She did this to Libya. Well, Muammar was trying to pull everybody together, and he said, we are going to band together, and the only way that you can buy our oil is for gold. We want gold. We won't accept any more currency, no banking currency. We want physical, actual gold, and then you can buy our oil. Well, you can see where that could cause a lot of problems in a lot of different countries. However, I certainly wouldn't have gone the route that Clinton went to overthrow the entire country. How true this is, how much of a connection this is, I'm not sure. We're still digging into it. There's still more information coming out. Earlier in the show today, I told you the FBI this week has found 15,000 more emails that Clinton didn't turn over, which in itself seems to be a criminal act. She said she turned them all over, but her lawyers and everybody said, "Yo, we went through them all. We turned it. We gave you everything." Well, come to find out, you didn't give us everything. Somebody that I follow on Facebook a lot, she's got a lot of great information. Tammy Bruce. Tammy Bruce has her own radio show, and she's a regular on Fox News, and she's a regular on Varney, which I love to watch. And what had happened and what had transpired during the time of Hillary Clinton's reign as Secretary of State is very troubling. When someone files a Freedom of Information Act, they are supposed to go through the right channels and right chain of events to be able to gain access to that information. And one of the things that they wanted to gain access to was Hillary Clinton's, as she was Secretary of State, her calendar of events. The meetings she had, the people she met with, it's all listed, it's all dictated to her calendar of events. They just want to look at it. And, well, on the hunch that who were you meeting with and why were you meeting with it, and can we put all these pieces, these puzzle pieces together? So Tammy Bruce was on Varney, and this is what Tammy Bruce had to say on Varney.
Now, Tammy?
Yes.
That's pay to play.
Well, it is. And even without counting the foreign interests, there's still some argument, the AP didn't count them, that there was also still money given to the Clintons. The Bahrain is an example. They went through the foundation to try to get access to her. But this does just separate out the private interest. You're looking at 85 of 154 private interest donors gave a total, by the way, of $156 million. In order to be able to have this access. So these are also, we've also just learned that the State Department stonewalled the Associated Press for years as they were looking for the details of her meetings. The State Department under Hillary ignored 287 FOIA requests. Now, this may not be technically illegal. We don't know quite yet. But I also don't think erasing 18 minutes from an audio tape is technically illegal either. And so it is about ethics. It's about influence peddling. It's about character. And if she is willing to do this so blatantly and be protected by the system as Secretary of State, of course the question becomes, if you're willing to sell access in the State Department, will you sell access in the White House? And what degree of damage does that cause the United States?
Oh, absolutely. She will sell access. I mean, the highest position in the land, everybody will be vying for her because they know they can get to her if the money's right. The price is right, they can get to her. As we went through all of this through the last few years and all of this starting to come out, And you all remember her saying, well, when they said, did you erase your server or did you clean your server? And she said, what, like wipe it? Like wipe my server? like with a towel? Like wipe it clean? Well, come to find out, some breaking news that came out. Trey Gowdy was on the newsroom on Fox, and this is unbelievable. And I actually looked into this. It's called Bleach Bit. And that would be soundbite A. Run for a soundbite. There you go.
They didn't just push the delete button. They had them deleted where even God can't read them. They were using something called Bleach Bit. You don't use Bleach Bit for yoga emails or for bridesmaids emails. When you're using Bleach Bit, it is something you really do not want the world to see.
Yes. I went, did the Google search myself, and I searched Bleach Bit, and I looked into it. I started to down. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to clean my stuff. Well, let's download this. So I started to look into the Bleach Bit. I started reading about it. Here is the Wikipedia definition of Bleach Bit. Bleach Bit: quickly freeze disk space and tirelessly guards your privacy. Free cache, delete cookies, clear internet history, shred temporary files, delete logs, and discard junk you didn't know was there. Designed for Linux or Windows system. It wipes clean 1,000 applications, including Firefox, Internet Explorer, Adobe Flash, Google Chrome, Safari, and more. Beyond simply deleting files, BleachBit includes advanced features such as shredded files to prevent recovery, wiping free disk space to hide traces of files deleted by other applications, and vacuuming Firefox to make it faster, better than free. BleachBit is open source. So, anybody can have BleachBit. It's an open source program. If you wanted to cover your tracks and do something nefarious, this is the most hardcore application. I had no idea that application was out there, that you could download this program and run it like that. Just amazing. It's one scandal after another. More information, like I said, is coming out. Rudy Giuliani really went off. He was on Fox as well, and he was extremely upset and beside himself with this whole Hillary camp scandal. And this is what Giuliani had to say about security, email scandals, and her capability, or lack thereof capability.
I find the briefing of her extraordinary. She was found to be extremely careless in the handling of national security information. And now we're briefing her on national security information. You know, she wouldn't pass an FBI background check for an assistant U.S. attorney's position. If I were a U.S. attorney like I was 20 years ago, and she was a candidate for U.S. attorney, I couldn't hire her.
And President Obama made a point of saying, Trump needs to make sure to keep everything secret in these national briefings. And we know what just took place with Hillary Clinton. And he made no mention of Hillary Clinton.
She exposed literally thousands and thousands and thousands of our most sensitive secrets to our enemies, or our frenemies, however you want to describe it. Comey made that very clear when he just about said that they must have been hacked. And anyone who knows anything about cybersecurity, and I do that for a living, knows that it would be, to me, a surprise if the Chinese and the Russians, and maybe even some of our friends, don't have most of those emails.
But will she be able to outdo him on specifics? I mean, let's face it, she was there as the head of the State Department.
Crimea, and she got a great deal of money, in excess of $130 million from Russians into the Clinton Foundation, and voted in favor of giving Russia uranium. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
Voted in favor of giving them uranium. Meanwhile, $130 million goes to the Clinton Foundation. And before that deal was even put together, her husband helped to put the company together in Kazakhstan, and they made a lot of money on that. This is a totally corrupt State Department.
Let's be clear. Uranium is the stuff used to make nuclear bombs.
And some of that uranium, which the Russians promised us would not go to Iran, went to Iran. So what she did was she sold out our country.
Right. So she sold 25% of the
If
U.S.'s
she were a
uranium
Republican
to
Secretary
Russia.
of State, the headline in the New York Times would be, Clinton sells out America.
There you go. I mean, that literally is what it is. Folks, rest assured, be comfortable, be confident. Know that just because she's running for president, that she doesn't have a chance. People are like, well, she's running, she's got a 50-50. No, she doesn't have a prayer. And we've got to make that happen. We've got to keep coming out and talking about these things. We got to reiterate these things. We got to bring up the past, bring up her past again and again and again. When she says, I ain't no ways tired, she's pandering to the black community, pandering to the Hispanics. She's a sellout. She's selling America out. She's selling herself out. All right, folks, the fast 3 hours you will spend anywhere. Follow us on Facebook.com/Smith Radio, on Twitter @Smith Radio, and short link to iHeartRadio, iHeart.SmithRadio.com. Good night now.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.